one.
Thank you.
Last call on speaking sign up. If you have not already signed up to speak, this is kind of a last call. We're going to leave the. If you're not already signed up and you're not signing up or coming up here to speak, to sign up to speak, there you go. Or not. All right. We are a little behind schedule, but I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is Monday, July 1st, 6:30. Well, actually, it's a little late. I would like to call the regular meeting of the Liquor Control Commission to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Okay, Clerk Brady.
Commissioner Raffato,
Here.
Commissioner Kruger,
Present.
Commissioner Lang,
Here.
Commissioner Vito,
Here.
Commissioner Papantos,
Present.
Commissioner Vogel,
Here.
Chairperson Horker.
Here, you have before you the minutes of the special meeting of the Liquor Control Commission for June 3rd, 2023. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Commissioner Papantos, second.
I'll second.
Commissioner Lang, roll call.
Commissioner Papantos,
Yes.
Commissioner Vito,
Yes.
Commissioner Lang,
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger,
Yes.
Commissioner Raffato,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel,
Yes.
Chairperson Horker.
Yes. Do we have anybody to speak at the Liquor Control Commission?
No, not tonight.
New business, Clerk Brady.
Okay. 6A, consideration of a request for a Class B liquor license from Unut, Inc., doing business as Kazan Restaurant, a proposed restaurant at 94 South Milwaukee Avenue.
Mr. Spondilis, what do we got?
Thank you. As the title indicates, this is a proposed restaurant, hence a Class B liquor license in the Fresh Farms Shopping Center. The location is the former location of a nail tech salon. They look to occupy this with a fast casual restaurant. If the commission agrees, I would ask that any motion be made conditioned upon the following 5 conditions. First, passage of an ordinance by the Board of Trustees authorizing the creation of a new Class B liquor license. Second, the payment of all applicable fees. Third, submittal of a certificate of liquor liability insurance. Fourth, submittal of Bassett certificates for all applicable individuals. And finally, satisfactory background check results for all applicable individuals. The petitioner, I believe, is in the audience this evening. If you have any questions, otherwise I will do my best to answer on their behalf.
Commissioner Papantos has some questions.
Thank you. For the petitioner, you need to come to the podium. Is the petitioner here?
Okay.
Okay.
Or not. Any other questions or comments from the board? If there are no questions or comments from the board, I need a motion to approve as conditioned.
So moved.
Commissioner Kruger, second.
Second.
Commissioner Raffato, roll call.
Commissioner Kruger,
Yes.
Commissioner Lang,
Yes.
Commissioner Vito,
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel,
Yes.
Commissioner Raffato,
Yes.
Chairperson Horker.
Yes. Number B.
6B, consideration of a request for a Class A-V liquor license for Skytop LLC, doing business as MP Kitchen and Bar, an existing restaurant at 403 West Dundee Road in Wheeling Town Center.
Mr. Spondilis, what do we got?
Thank you. Again, as the description indicates, this is a change of ownership for an existing restaurant, which means that the new owners need to come before you and seek their own liquor license. In this case, this is a Class AV, which is a large restaurant with video gaming. You may recall that MP currently has an AV license. However, they never proceeded through the state procedure for actually getting a state license and installing the machines in their current facility. Again, this is a new owner who plans to continue operating the business under the same name with few, if any, operational changes. Should the commission wish to grant this request, I would ask that the motion be conditioned upon the 5 following conditions. First, payment of all applicable fees. Second, submittal of Bassett certificates for all applicable individuals. Third, submittal of an executed lease for the subject premises for the full term of the requested license. Fourth, satisfactory background check results for all applicable individuals. And finally, the forfeiture of the existing liquor license for the subject premises. Again, the petitioners should be here this evening if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll do my best to answer them.
Commissioner Papantos again.
Is the petitioner here this time?
There we go.
Okay, you
Come
need
on
to
up to the
come.
podium and introduce yourself.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Yogi. I'm a representative of the Skytop LLC.
Right, my question is, will this transition be seamless to the customers?
Sure. Yeah, so we're going to keep the concepts as it is right now, and there is no many changes, any changes into current buildings, interior, exterior, nothing's going to change.
So no menu changes, will the hours change?
No hours change. Everything is going to be same as it is right now.
Okay. And when do you expect this transition to occur?
So our estimated closing is going to be around the 1st of the August.
First
this
of
year.
August, but you realize the conditions have to be
Yep.
fulfilled before that time? Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If there are none, I would be looking for a motion to approve as conditioned.
So moved.
Trustee, Commissioner Lang, second Commissioner Rufato. Roll call.
Commissioner Lang,
Yes.
Commissioner Vito,
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel,
Yes.
Commissioner Raffato,
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger,
Yes.
and Chairperson Horker.
Yes, good luck, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
That concludes the business for the Liquor Control Commission hearing for the evening. I need a motion to adjourn that meeting.
So moved.
Motion, Commissioner Rufato, second Commissioner Kruger. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Village Board for July 1st, 2024. Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Give me 1 second. I have to.
I'm sorry, I went too quick there.
Computer doesn't move that fast. Stop. Here we go. All right. All right. Okay, sorry.
Roll
Trustee.
call, please.
Trustee Raffato,
Here.
Trustee Kruger,
Present.
Trustee Lang.
Here.
Trustee Vito,
Here.
Trustee Papantos.
Present.
Trustee Vogel,
Here.
President Horker.
Here, you have before you the minutes of the regular meeting of June 3rd, 2024. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Vogel, second Trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Trustee Kruger,
Yes.
Trustee Lang,
Yes.
Trustee Vito,
Yes.
Trustee Papantos.
Yes.
Trustee Vogel, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Trustee Raffato,
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes, changes to the agenda?
Yes, I would like to ask for a motion to change the order of the meeting, specifically moving item 9 to item 13C. By way of explanation, this would allow our first two petitioners, items 13A and 13B, to complete their business and be on their way. This then would also allow the public to speak immediately before all four of the gas and wash items. So again, this is moving item 9, which is citizens' comments and concerns, to item 13C.
So moved.
Second.
Give the motion to Trustee Vogel, second to Trustee Kruger. Clerk, you got what we're doing?
Yep.
Awesome. Roll call.
Trustee Kruger,
Yes.
Trustee Lang,
Yes.
Trustee Vito,
Yes.
Trustee Papantos.
Yes.
Trustee Vogel,
Yes.
Trustee Raffato,
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes.
All right.
Consent agenda then.
Okey-doke.
Yes.
Consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all other agenda items. 11A, a resolution waiving competitive bidding requirements and authorizing the purchase of station furniture for new Fire Station 42 from Forward Space at a price not to exceed $40,579.79. 11B, resolution approving an invoice for payment to Maritime Construction, Inc. for emergency sewer repairs on Wheeling Road in the amount of $32,042.21. And 11C, ordinance amending Chapter 4.32 of the Village of Wheeling's Municipal Code, alcohol liquor dealers, specifically Section 4.32.085, to increase the authorized number of Class B liquor license.
Any questions or comments? If there are no questions or comments, I'd be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion trustee Papantos, second trustee Vogel, roll call.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes.
Okay. 13A, ordinance granting a variation from Title 19 zoning to permit an increase in the maximum fence height for 6 feet to 8 feet associated with the screening of proposed mechanical equipment, 11 East Dundee Road, Dundee Fuel Mart, Inc., docket number PV 24-0003.
Mr. Clicker, what do we got?
Yes, as Clerk Brady said, this is a variation, seeking a variation for fence height. Dundee Fuel Mart is seeking the variation to enclose a new mechanical area that is being installed as part of their improvements to the area. They are replacing the old vacuums with a new centralized vacuum system. The enclosure, the equipment would not be completely covered or enclosed by a 6-foot-high fence, so they've requested actually to put in an 8-foot fence to better screen it and better mitigate the noise at the property. This was heard at the June 12th Plan Commission hearing, and it did receive unanimous recommendation of approval.
Thank you, Mr. Clicker. Questions or comments from the board?
Just one quick.
Trustee Lang?
Mr. Clicker, do you know if they have any plans to seal coat and crack seal their pavement? I was reviewing it, it looks like it's starting to give a little bit.
I will have to check the plans. I'm not 100% certain if that's part of their overall plan, but we will bring it up with the property owner.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If there are none, I would be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Trustee Papantos, second.
Second.
Trustee Rufato, roll call.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes.
Okay. 13B, ordinance granting special use approval to permit the operation of a drive-through restaurant for Kava Java LLC doing business as Scooters Coffee at 310 North Milwaukee Avenue, docket number PSU 24-0010.
Mr. Clicker?
Yes, as Clerk Brady said, this is a special use to permit a drive-through coffee restaurant. As I'm sure you're all familiar with the location. It was a Starbucks location. This is Scooter's one of their first stores in the Illinois-Chicagoland region. I believe the store in Mundelein, is going to beat us to the opening. But this is one of the first in the state of Illinois. Scooter's is a coffee shop that focuses purely on drive-through. So they feel that this location is ideal for them. Because the Starbucks had closed for a period of over 6 months, a new special use is required. This was heard at the June 12th Plan Commission hearing, and by a 7-0 vote, it was recommended for approval.
Trustee Papantos?
Thank you. Is the petitioner here?
They are.
I just need one of you.
Come on up to the podium and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name's Jeff Simon.
Hi. I just want to verify, at the Plan Commission meeting, you specifically stated you were going to close the walk-up window. Are you still planning on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because there is a traffic problem at that corner, or there was when there was a Starbucks, and hopefully, for your sake, there's
Yeah,
enough cars.
Strictly
but-
drive-through.
And
Strictly drive-through.
They indicated at the Plan Commission meeting, and I apologize, I can't remember the person's name who was speaking, that you have a system so that the ordering goes faster, that somebody will
Yes,
be in the lot
that's-
trying to keep the cars moving?
Correct. We have a couple different processes in place, and that scooter's basic thing is a quick, friendly drive-through service. We're, I think, in and out within 3 minutes per customer. So we plan to get customers in and out of there very fast.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Papantos. Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments? Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Trustee Papantos, second.
Second.
Trustee Kruger, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Ruffado?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes.
Okay.
Just a little note. I do respect everyone's right to speak. I do always work to make sure everyone gets a chance to voice their opinions, whether or not I agree with them. Towards that end, there are quite a few of us here tonight. There are quite a few of you here tonight who all want to speak. I do respect your rights to voice your opinions. If you agree with someone who's spoken previously, I would ask, simply for the purposes of moving this along, to simply say, I agree on such and such an issue. It is, of course, up to you. You can make it last as long as you want, but up to 5 minutes, yes. But please, absolutely respect your right to speak. We will respect you. Please respect us. So, Clerk Brady.
Please use the microphone so we can hear what you're saying. The people that are at the microphone here and the board, please.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Speak into the microphone. I actually have a little note here that says I'm supposed to do that more, too. I think there's one on the dais. Clerk Brady.
Citizen concerns and comments. Members of the public may address the board with comments regarding issues related to village business. No citizen shall speak for more than 5 minutes without consent of the board. Members of the general public who wish to address the board must sign the request to speak form prior to the commencement of the public meeting. Chris Engel.
Good evening. I've lived in Wheeling over 30 years. I worked hard to own my house in a quiet family residential area. This establishment, I'm talking about the truck stop, does not belong in our area, surrounded by houses and families that have children. As parents, we work hard in this day and age to keep our children safe. We don't know who or what type of criminals this establishment will bring into our area. Every town that has allowed a casino gambling has experienced a rise in crime. Truck stops are known for prostitution. This will not pick up our area. It will only bring it down, especially our property values. Is this what you want for Wheeling to be known as a great place to raise your family, or prostitution and gambling? This establishment should be in an industrial area, not ours. Another thing is, there are different places in Wheeling that would be more appropriate, like the Sam's Club next to Walmart, or the old Kmart site, or Midas, or the farm. Now I have a question for all of you. Would you want to raise your children or grandchildren in this type of atmosphere? Thank you.
Joni Fine.
Hi, my name is Joan Fine, and I've been a resident in Wheeling for over 40-plus years. First of all, I applaud Wheeling from the first time I moved here, all the improvements that we have made with the investment in businesses and buildings. It's built our community to be 5-star in so many ways. I live at the corner of Hintz and Lakeview, which is right down where we're going to be building this gas station. My concerns are, one, we have a lot of car accidents at Lakeview and Hintz because there are no traffic lights. and there will be no traffic lights installed where this trucking stop is going, to my knowledge. The other concern I have is that there's so much property around, like, for example, the property on Dundee where the Kmart was. I believe we were going to do a Home Depot, but it got turned down by the board because you thought it was going to be too much traffic. But I think it would be an ideal place because of all the businesses and the car dealership. I wish I was a part of the planning board. I wasn't, but I think another concern is that it's a drop-off for children coming home from school, and that's a concern because they'll be walking by this area, and how safe will it be, and how protected will it be? If you would check with the police department, they will have records of all the accidents at Hintz and Lakeview, and I think it would be kind of shocking for a lot of people to realize how often the police are there, and also how often we had a murder right at Mellard Apartments several years back. I'm just concerned about safety, and thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, ma'am.
Teresa Lesher.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. Let me begin by saying that in the roughly 30 years I have been living here, I've seen Wheeling go through so many positive changes, and I know this has been the result of the hard work that you as trustees and staff have done. I've shopped, dined, and enjoyed movies at your new town center, and I've been impressed with the businesses that you have brought to the area. I know you work closely with Wheeling Park District and Wheeling School District 21 for the betterment of our community. So thank you for all the hard work and dedication that has made this a better community in which to live. However, with regard to the gas and wash development that is being proposed, I cannot support this business moving into this community. The bottom line is that this site at Hintz and Old Buffalo Grove Road is not an appropriate location for a 24-hour truck stop. This land is fully surrounded by a quiet residential community of homes with families of young children and retired residents who are the most vulnerable to possible traffic hazards and the detrimental health effects of benzene, diesel fumes, and other pollutants that this new development would introduce to this community at an astronomical level. And with the already rising crime rates in communities throughout the nation, it will invite strangers into our neighborhoods and likely increase the crime rate. In addition, this development will cause substantial traffic, which the roads already cannot handle, as well as cause additional traffic accidents with the improper access into this development, coupled with distracted driving. Hintz Road and Old Buffalo Grove Road are already in a constant state of disrepair. And worst of all, this truck stop will subject our community to air, noise, and light pollution 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year long. This project does not meet the village's special use exemptions. To quote, "A special use is the use of land in which, because of their unique characteristics, cannot ordinarily be allowed in a particular zoning district without consideration of their impact upon neighboring land uses and would not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or general welfare." This development would absolutely be detrimental to the public health, safety, and general welfare of our community. If you stand in the middle of this parcel of property and look around, common sense dictates that it goes against each of the special exemption rules. It is not necessary for public convenience. It will absolutely alter the essential character of the locality. The location will not be in harmony with the appropriate and orderly development of the district with regards to streets giving access to it, and it will impair the value of the adjacent land and buildings due to the fact that this is a significant deviation from what has historically been there in the past. In addition, it will be laid out in a manner which will cause traffic hazards, and it will only be a matter of time before someone is injured as a result of this business. This development would increase the gas pumps by 350% over and above what was previously there, not to mention introducing truck traffic with diesel pumps, which would be right on top of the Mallard Lake and Tahoe Village residences, which are all Wheeling residents. This will likely have a significant impact on the public health, safety, and general welfare of these residents by exposing them to pollutants at an exponential level to what was previously there. These residents would be impacted by these noisy trucks starting to diesel up at 4 a.m., followed by the start of the car wash, noise, and traffic at 6 a.m., all 7 days a week, including the weekends when most people appreciate being able to sleep in after a busy week. Gas and Wash has asserted that the community will be safer if they operate 24 hours a day, but where is their proof that this is the case? According to the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services, operation hours are by far the strongest factor contributing to convenience store robbery, particularly for stores open 24 hours a day, perhaps because of fewer people, other customers, police, or passerby who might intervene are about. In addition, one study found that stores located in shopping complexes or strip malls had fewer robberies than those not in more concentrated commercial settings. This does not sound safer to me. Wheeling Gaming is already oversaturated with 25 establishments with 140 video gaming terminals. Why would this facility think that they would make a lot of money gambling at this site? Why would Wheeling want more gambling in our community? I would be fully supportive of this project if it were to be located on Dundee or Lake Cook Road, but on Hintz? Dundee and Lake Cook are major thoroughfares where one could expect 24-hour-a-day operations. Hintz Road, literally in the middle of residential homes, is not the place to introduce this type of business. Why not let Dundee and Lake Cook Road business handle this 24-hour-a-day need to the community? On behalf
Ma'am?
of the residents near
Ma'am?
this neighborhood, please vote
Finish the
no.
sentence. There you go. Thank you.
Diane Hesh.
Whose name?
Diane Hesh.
Good evening, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak. President Horker, with all due respect, I find your comment, quote unquote, the complaints concerns are non-issues, to be insulting to the residents of the neighborhood affected by the proposed gas and wash. Concerns about the effects of an operation like this on the residential neighborhood surrounding this property are legitimate concerns. Concerns such as, how will a 24/7, 365 days a year operation affect the character of the neighborhood? How will the round-the-clock noise and lights affect the people living directly across the street or adjacent to this property? How will this affect the property values of the neighborhood? Why would someone want to buy a residence across from a business operation that never closes? What are the possible long-term environmental health issues associated with a business of this type? We all know the end game is to get video gaming terminals approved here, which is why it does need to meet the designation of a truck stop by the Illinois Gaming Board. With 24-hour gaming available, the likelihood of attracting undesirable individuals at all hours of the day and night, along with the possibility of increasing crime and/or violence, which could carry over into the surrounding neighborhoods, is a definite concern. I guess all of these are non-issues unless you live in the neighborhood. 2 members of your planning commission voted no because they expressed concerns about it being in a residential area. Unfortunately, however, another planning commission member said, "This is about codes, not people." May I remind you, everything you do and every decision you make is about people and how it affects them. If you wouldn't want this in your neighborhood, then you shouldn't expect others to want it in theirs. Also, please don't dismiss those of us who live in Arlington Heights because our zip code is not 60090. Our children attend school in Wheeling, we shop in Wheeling, we dine out in Wheeling, and we feel a definite connection to the Wheeling community because of our proximity to Wheeling. Our concerns are legitimate. This business is not needed nor wanted in this neighborhood. As spoken before, if you really feel a gas and wash is good for Wheeling, may I suggest the Milwaukee Avenue corridor, or the old Kmart property on Dundee Road, or the big empty Sam's Club parking lot on McHenry Road. It's a high-volume traffic route between Lake Cook and Dundee Roads. Please vote no. Thank you.
Taylor. No, she's right there.
Hi, my name is Lori Taylor. Let me give you a history of Hintz Road. Until 1998, it was just 2 lanes of traffic, 98% residential between Wolf Road and Rand Road. In 1990, a shopping center, Brook Run, was opened. It's a convenience store with liquor sales, hair salons, dry cleaners, and a restaurant. Until 2014, when Butera/Garden Fresh closed down, Wheeling was also another shopping center 2 blocks away. Just recently, everything, the restaurants, the bar, the dry cleaner, got demolished. Hintz Road has never had much luck with retail gas station establishments. Most gas stations that resided on Hintz have died on Hintz. The corner of 83 and Hintz had 3 gas stations at one time. One is now a Mexican restaurant, one is a body shop, and the other is a closed family video. Why get gas here in Cook County when they can just go a little further north into Lake where it's less costly? By the way, taxes are going up today in Cook County. Now, Wheeling is trying once again, this time having a gas and wash truck stop built on the corner of Old Buffalo Grove Road and Hintz. This is the only gas and wash truck stop in all of Illinois with all 4 sides surrounding the residents. That's your first agenda. Over 170 residents, including apartments, homes, condos, and townhomes, are immediately surrounding this proposed establishment. If and when gas and wash fails, Wheeling will have a much bigger mess to clean up the next time. Every time this location is mentioned to anybody, even outside of the area, you get the same response. This is a residential area. The location has too many people. A petition was started, and over 1,600 signatures have been gathered. The village of Arlington Heights has even submitted a letter to Wheeling entitled Comments on Gas and Wash in Wheeling at Hintz Road and Old Buffalo Grove Road, a preliminary PUD submittal. Concerns about the impact on Wheeling's adjacent neighbors. Noise from the car wash can easily exceed 80 decibels, and they're supporting documentation on that. The impact on the area's streets and lighting affecting Arlington Heights and Wheeling residents. The health risk assessments. The Illinois EPA actually has a risk assessment survey. Has Wheeling or Gas and Wash completed it? Gas and Wash is, again, surrounded residents on all 4 sides, just like Sturgenics did in Willowbrook. A $345 million settlement for 1 lawsuit was done there. This gas and wash project affects Wheeling and Arlington Heights together. Cancer knows no boundaries. Hinsdale Car Wash has a special use permit. It's very dense and congested, which dictated the special use. Gas and Wash has the same issues. Car was pulling out and hit a 14-year-old and died. As part of the settlement, the village has to pull the special use permit. Did you know that FHA and HUD both do not warrant insurance for any properties within 300 feet of a gas station? And that's an appraiser has to fill in that form, and also FHA insurance. Gas and Wash is nothing like the previous gas station. That one had 2 pumps. This one has at least 16, of which 2 of them are diesel. So the question lies with Wheeling now. Do they want to approve something that has some longevity, or do they want to have something more costly for them in the end? Thank you.
Nancy Litwin. Wait, I thought, oh, there she is.
There you go.
I was told that the gas and wash can be built on this lot because there was a gas station on the lot before. Therefore, it should be okay to allow another one to be built. The first station was not self-service. I pulled in, a man came out, filled my tank, and washed my windows. This is not what is going to be built. The new facility will have 9 pumps and 18 nozzles, 2 dedicated diesel lanes and pumps, all open 24 hours, 7 days a week. The first station was like a little kitten. The second one will be like a mountain lion in comparison. So now that we know how big the station will be, let's talk about the pollution. I know the builders say they will use the newest equipment to prevent the gas vapors from polluting the air. The gas vapors cannot be contained 100%. Some will still pollute the air and travel around the neighborhoods. Spills and leakage can occur. Gasoline can drip out as you are replacing the pump. Gas vapor gives off benzene and other toxic chemicals. The EPA says that benzene is a known carcinogen, and the National Institutes of Health, a part of the Department of Health and Human Services, which is the agency making important discoveries that improves health and saves lives, says that it's proven that there are strong associations between exposure to benzene and the development of childhood leukemia. And think about the increase in traffic, in particular the huge trucks that could come into the area to use the diesel pumps. What would that do to the quality of the air? We have a daughter and a 4-year-old granddaughter who live in Wheeling, walking distance from that lot. Children live all around them, and they go out to play, out in the fresh air, what they think is going to be fresh air, riding their scooters and tossing their balls around. They will all be exposed to these toxins, putting their young, growing, developing, vulnerable bodies at risk of getting cancer. The children. I asked one of the commissioners how he voted yes after hearing what people had to say, and his answer, I voted by the codes. It's not about the people. The codes, not about the people. So let's talk about the special use code. Under chapter 19.01.010, the Wheeling Municipal Code, a special use is expressly defined as the use of land in which, because of their unique characteristics, cannot ordinarily be allowed in a particular zoning district without consideration of their impact upon neighboring land uses and would not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or general welfare. Not detrimental to the public health, safety, or general welfare. This facility does not even come close to meeting those standards, you have to admit. Do any of you live in this area, or do you know anybody you truly care about that does? If you don't, would you buy a home nearby or encourage anyone in your family to do that? If you wouldn't live there, then please don't make anyone else live there either. A gas and wash does not belong in a densely populated residential area. It just doesn't belong where all those children are playing outside. A gas and wash belongs in a strictly commercial area. This would be the only gas and wash that has residences on all 4 sides. It doesn't belong here. Please vote against it. People who live there voted you into office, trusting that you would keep their neighborhood a clean, healthy, and safe place to live. Please don't break their trust. Please don't put commercial gain ahead of the health and well-being of the children that live in the neighborhood. Please think about that. I know this is not an easy decision for you, and I know it must be hard to sit in there and listen to the people, especially crazy grandmas like me. I can't help it, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm just worried about my granddaughter. She's only 4, and I want her to grow up healthy and have a long and happy life, as you can understand, if any of you have people that you love.
And I know this is a hard decision for you, but I'm asking you, please, don't put the commercial interests ahead of the welfare of the people that live there, please.
Thank you, Mrs. Lippman.
Ostra,
Say it again.
Felix Ostra.
Cross them off, move on.
Okay.
Say it into the,
Burton Litwin.
My wife is always a hard act to follow. My name is Burton Litwin. I've resided for 53 years in the Northgate Subdivision in Arlington Heights, directly across the road from this planned project. Our daughter, as you heard, and 4-year-old live in Lakeside Villas in Wheeling, a very short distance from this project. It's clear that the primary aim of this project is to establish a gambling facility under the guise of a truck stop. The gas pumps and sales are merely a pretext to obtain a gambling license from the state of Illinois. The mini mart, car wash, and donut shop are designed solely to attract individuals to gamble, regardless of the need for fuel or other services. That's the real plan, and it's a simple one, to profit from gambling. Without gambling, it's clear that Gas and Wash would not pursue this project. Gambling is the tail that wags the dog. We have seen numerous charts, maps, and drawings at the Plan Commission hearing, but what we haven't seen, which would have been much more illuminating, is their income projections for this property, both with and without gambling revenues. Without gambling income, this project without a doubt would not be financially viable and would not proceed. At the Plan Commission meeting, the village attorney gave the gambling aspect of this project short shrift, saying that it was a non-issue because the village has previously decided to allow gambling, and now it's simply in the hands of the Illinois Gaming Board whether to grant the license. However, just because gambling is permitted does not mean it must be accommodated everywhere, especially in ways that violate Wheeling's special use requirement that you've already heard about in its municipal code. This project would violate the code because it's incompatible with the essential residential character of the area and would be detrimental to the health, safety, and welfare of the community due to the significant exposure to gambling. Let's talk about gambling addiction, and I'm going to get personal here. Everybody's likely familiar with addiction problems. You may know someone close to you, maybe even a family member who has suffered or is suffering from addiction problems. It could be drug addiction, it could be alcohol addiction. Well, gambling addiction is equally as serious and terribly destructive. Growing up in a family with a father and 2 older brothers who were compulsive gamblers, I received a first-hand education about that destructiveness. My father spent every weekend gambling, leaving my mother frequently in tears over insufficient money to pay for groceries and the rent. My oldest brother's addiction was so severe, he could not go home at night after servicing his salesman leads without first stopping at an off-track betting parlor to get his fix. He ultimately was arrested for skimming customer payments to fund his habit and had to call me in the middle of the night to come bail him out of jail. And it continued on after that. My other brother's experience was equally sad. After sustaining serious injuries while working for the railroad, Chicago Northwestern, he was given a job as a conductor on their commuter trains, which was a huge mistake. He took the money he collected on the trains and gambled with it in the basement of the train station, sometimes missing his train assignments. Of course, he got fired, and he never worked again at age 44. A few years later, I moved my mom, then a widow, to a little townhouse in a senior community in Florida. My brother's job, this is the second brother, was simply to live with mom and help with the daily chores. After a few years, mom developed memory problems. My brother coaxed her into signing checks, and he wound up losing all of her retirement savings at the dog track. What I learned from my own personal experience is that with compulsive gambling, there are no winners, only losers. And the addicted usually take their families down with them. Permitting Gas and Wash to locate a gambling enterprise in the middle of a peaceful residential community with direct nexus to approximately 200 families in homes, townhouses, and apartments and hundreds more within a short walking distance would be a grave mistake. Not only would the lure of gambling be highly detrimental to susceptible residents in our community, the facility would inevitably attract gambling addicts from other areas as well, leading to increased traffic, crime, and social issues. This brightly lit facility, operating 24 hours a day with gaming machines running continuously, would turn our little stretch of Hintz Road into a mini Las Vegas Strip with all the associated problems. The Village of Wheeling is supposed to take actions that are beneficial to the community. Approving the project would instead have a devastating effect on the community, both because of the significant environmental health risks that it presents and the gambling addiction that it surely would foster. I urge the board, please, act responsibly and reject this terrible project.
Brian Manning.
Before I begin, I can talk later.
Thank you.
Thanks. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Before I begin my comments, I just want to say I've lived in the area since 1992. And I want to echo what some of the previous speakers have said. I believe Wheeling has made tremendous strides in the right direction, and I think you should all take some credit for that. So when I make my comments, don't think I'm crapping on Wheeling. Okay, I believe there's 4 reasons why we should vote no on this proposal tonight. I'll try to be brief. First of all, a project of this nature, which is going to be a truck stop with video gambling, liquor sales, 24/7 activity, is not appropriate for an all-residential neighborhood. Secondly, there's environmental remediation of historic issues on this site that is not yet complete. The Illinois EPA is involved and has not issued a no further remediation letter yet. We'll have other folks tonight with more knowledge on this topic speak, so I'll be brief here. But there are at least 2 outstanding issues that need to be resolved. Number 3, the environmental impact and risk of the proposed project is not appropriate for a residential neighborhood. So I'm talking about the use going forward. It's a risky development on an unremediated site. We're putting a dinosaur on top of a dinosaur. And 4th, the proposed development would violate Wheeling's municipal code and special use standards, particularly standards 1, 2, and 4. And I'll focus on those for the rest of my talk. Folks have already mentioned the special use policy, but there are 6 standards underneath that policy. The first one states the special use is necessary for the public convenience at that location. This development, as proposed, is not necessary for public convenience. Let's look at the components of this project. There's a convenience store proposed. There's one a block away. No need for more. There's a liquor store proposed. There's a liquor store 1 block away. Not needed. Moreover, there are 12 additional liquor stores within a 2-mile radius of the site. Gas station. A gas station is not needed here. There are 12 gas stations within a 2-mile radius of this location. As many speakers have said, the previous gas station on this site failed due to lack of activity. No need for a gas station here. It will not succeed. And again, putting failure on top of failure is not a good idea at this site. Car wash. There will be a car wash. There are 7 car washes within a 3-mile radius of this site. Do we need more? And fast food. I don't think I need to count up how many fast food options there are in this area. So I will move on. Standard number 2 states that the special use will not alter the essential character of the locality in which it is to be located. The planned development would certainly alter the character of this locality. The Hintz Road corridor is primarily residential, all the way from Rand Road in the west to Wheeling Road in the east. This is a 4-mile stretch, virtually no commercial activity. Yes, there are a couple small retail areas at intersections of Windsor and Elmhurst, but otherwise it's entirely residential. More specifically, the proposed development site is exclusively residential in all 4 directions from the specific site. Others have already said that, I won't belabor it. Gas and Wash operates over 30 locations, to the best of my knowledge, in Illinois. None of them are surrounded on 4 sides by residential. This would be a dangerous precedent. A 4-acre truck stop with gambling, liquor sales, loud car wash, bright lighting, and 24/7 activity would absolutely alter and diminish the character of this locality. None of that exists today in that site. We all here have come out on a Monday night because we strongly believe in that. Maybe somebody will dissent, but I would like to say that we collectively represent the locality, and this would alter the character. I'm moving on standard number 4. A lot of words, I won't read them all, but it ends with will not impact the value thereof, meaning of the surrounding area. As mentioned, the surrounding area is 100% residential, and it's mostly high-value properties, homes, single-family homes, and apartments. It is logical to believe that the introduction of a new development of this nature, 4-acre truck stop, gambling, liquor, car wash, bright lighting, would absolutely impair the value of the surrounding real estate. So I ask, is there a study that has said, states otherwise? I raised this at the Planning Commission, and nothing was
Finish your
presented.
sentence, sir, that's 5
Okay,
minutes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Levitt. Levitt.
Good evening. I have been living in Wheeling for 50 years. I'm a retired teacher. I used to work at Holmes Junior High. And I am so thankful to the previous speakers for all the research that they've done, with all the details they went into. I agree with every single point that they said, so I will not repeat that. As a retired teacher, my main concern is safety of children. Children walk to Wheeling High School along Hintz Road. And sometimes they ride their bikes. There's no stoplight. It's a very big safety concern for me. There are little children that get picked up on school buses on Lakeview near Hintz. And I see that as such a dangerous it's so dangerous that school buses pulling in and out. And I don't know if anybody took the safety of children into consideration. I see high school students jogging along Hintz Road all the time for their track. So in addition to everything that was said, and I agree with every point that was made, consider the safety of children.
John Kopecki.
Thank you for letting me speak today. I'm going to repeat one small thing that I said the last meeting. This was zoned in 1968. And I'm a 1960 child, and I remember it well, and I lived about 3 miles from here. In 1968, there was a shopping center just like the one they're going to build, Gas and Wash. At that time, it made sense, because at that time, families only had one car. The husband worked, the wife stayed home, and they needed a place to walk to. It made sense. Times have changed. It's not fitting the use of the community. They only paid $1.4 million for their property. I've been in the construction, home inspector, and real estate business all my life, since the 70s. In real estate, it's location, location, location. The bottom of the barrel, the cheapest property, is residential. The next one up is multifamily. The third one up is commercial. I've inspected a lot of homes that they tear down a $500,000 house to build a new one. That lot is 4 acres. Let's say they break it up into half-acre lots. They underpaid for that lot if you looked at that, but they didn't. They paid what it's worth. In the last 2 meetings, people have been telling them they paid what it was worth, because it's not worth anything as a commercial property. You guys got to get this straight. Now, the thing is, it is going to change the character of the community. And you know that. Now, I have a friend. His name is Doug Cicerella. He owns Pioneer Environmental. Now, his business, he buys commercial properties, cleans it up, and rezones it. You know what he does? He rezones it to multifamily. He makes big bucks. There's big bucks in that. If you look at the news, there's a housing shortage. And another thing is, money drives what people do, okay? Now, this shopping center that I lived by, that was just like the one that you guys bought, they had a Ben Franklin. And remember they had gumball machines where they had like an acorn thing and can take out a little toy? Well, I went there, I put my nickel in, I got my little acorn thing out, and I opened it up, and you know what it said? Buy American. And I was like freaking 8 years old. Can you believe that? And the thing was, I flipped the sticker over, and it said, made in China. The Chinese were laughing all the way to the bank about that. Now, also, there's a bad campaign. It comes down to dollars and cents. And what we should have done is said, we're going to beat them in their own game. We're going to have better technology, and we're going to have better education. That's how we're going to beat them. Are we going to want to work for $2 or $3? No. Are we going to want to pollute our environment? No. Now, I'll tell you a true story that happened today. I retired. My wife and I, we go to our investment advisor, and we're looking down the investments we have. And I see ExxonMobil. And I said to my investment advisor, I go, hey, I don't know if this is a good investment anymore. And she goes, I don't think it is either. And I said, the future is not gas, it's electric.
Finish up the sentence, sir.
Okay. How are you going to deal with people that can fill up at their house for barely no money?
Thank you, sir.
Mike Kaplan.
Thank you for letting me speak today. I've been in the neighborhood within blocks of this truck stop. It's a truck stop, guys, okay? Not a gas station. For 42 years. We built our house. I live right by John down the street. We've been there forever. Let me ask you a question. Every one of you guys, even the village attorney, I don't know where you live, but after 9 o'clock at night, What happens on your street? You can probably hear a pin drop. Well, I live across a block away. You don't hear a thing after 9 o'clock at night, right? Any one of your houses? You want to vacuum at 6 o'clock in the morning outside your house or outside your house? You want the car wash? Don't tell me you're not going to hear it. We can hear the train 2 miles away, as you guys all know. What's going to happen, let alone 9 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night? What happens after 12 o'clock at night? Anywhere. There's trouble. That's where things happen. You don't see all these shootings that much in the city of Chicago. Most of them are 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. People are out. What do people want to be out at that time of the morning? They're going to be coming over for donuts? Well, I'm going to tell you a story. Hintz Liquor, right down the street next to the 7-Eleven. You all know where that is. My accountant used to live right across the street outside the Hintz Liquor, right there on Buffalo Grove Road. He moved out of there about 4 months ago. He said, Mike, after 11 o'clock at night, these people are sitting out in the parking lot talking so loud that we can't hear ourselves. We can't keep our windows open. We got to close everything. Your neighborhood that way? Your neighborhood that way? Don't tell me it is, because every one of you lives, I've been here 42 years. You could hear a pin drop after 9 o'clock at night. So, a car wash in this neighborhood, first of all, who's going to go get gas there? We're going to all go to Costco. We're going to go to Woodman's. We're going to go Lake County. Who's going to stop for gas there? We've already seen on that corner how many gas stations have come, or the gas station that's come and gone, let alone having 49 pumps and having, 7 pumps, whatever it's going to be. You guys go down that street all the time? How are you going to turn a truck out of there onto Buffalo Grove Road? Okay? Think about those trucks turning those corners, those semis, 18 wheels. That's insane. What are we thinking? You guys have done such an unbelievable job here with your town center. I'm jealous. You guys have really set a high standard for that, as has Vernon Hills. You guys are all doing some great things. But this thing makes absolutely no sense from any which way that you turn. Noisy big trucks. I'm going to hear, where I live, I'm going to hear these car wash. I'm going to hear the vacuums. 6 o'clock in the morning. You're not going to, I don't care what kind of walls. You're going to have walls, these people behind it. I feel bad for these people in the apartments. I'm on the other side. There's nothing to block the noise. These poor people in the apartments across the street, let alone how these semis are going to come out of that little street that's, have you driven down that street lately? Have you seen that street? I know it's probably Cook County because it's terrible, but how are you going to put semis down that street? So this thing makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I'm a businessman. I run a multi-million-dollar operation. I have no earthly idea what they're thinking, other than gambling's the end run of this thing, because there's no way this gas station's going to make it, and they're going to have to sell a lot of donuts. There's 1 million car washes. The poor people behind it are going to be hearing vacuums all day long, starting at 6 o'clock in the morning. 6 o'clock in the morning. You want to hear vacuums outside your house at 6 in the morning? You tell me 2 blocks away I'm not going to hear that vacuum. Any one of you. Think about it when you're voting. You guys are so smart. You've done some great things. And I used to live in Wheeling. I'm in Arlington Heights across the street, but I lived in Wheeling also. You guys are smart. You've done some great things. How can you let this go on? And I understand they're having problems at another location that they were rejected from. You guys need to do your homework and find out about this other location. I'm not going to mention it because I don't know that much about it yet, but I'm sure it's going to come out very shortly. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Craig Horowitz.
Thank you, sir.
First of all, my name is Craig Horowitz, and while I live in Buffalo Grove, my kids went to Riley. I live very near the site. I drive by Hintz and Arlington Heights Road on a regular basis. When I read your website today, it reminded me that your saying is revolving around community. And I know that you put a lot of thought into that, so I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. In general, I think the village has done a nice job supporting the residents, supplying services both new and old. I've been involved in many municipal challenges over the years, some affecting me more than others. For the moment, when I learned of the intent to develop this 4.1-acre site surrounded on all four sides by residential with a 24-hour gas station, diesel pumping station, car wash, liquor store, drive-through, and ultimately gaming parlor, I was against the proposal. Bad fit all around to me. The current concession at the Planning Commission to limit the car wash to 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. is not one that convinces me to support this project. It is unfortunate that to the north of this site are renters, and to the east of this site are renters. You have renters. On the west, you have Arlington Heights, and on the south, you have Arlington Heights. I'm trying to support my neighbors, as it seems Wheeling is not. I've handed out to the trustees 2 open Illinois EPA violations that date back to March of 2024, and the other one to March of 24. I called Illinois EPA today. I wanted to make sure that we didn't miss anything, because FOIA sometimes can miss dating. Both of these violations are still open and non-remediated. The tanking leak violation on the gas station property, 202-30655, is from tank removal on the gas station property. It is strange that for Lenny's, who's owned this property for over a year, and we checked that, they paid about $300,000 in property taxes, has chosen not to clean this property up. I rarely, by the way, see a developer buy a piece of land before it gets its permit, and that's exactly what happened. That is strange to me. The former dry cleaning property, violation 031-497-5075, toxic core samples still have not been done to ensure this area, now raised, is both clean and safe. President Horchert, for tonight, I can't imagine that this board should vote to approve this with these 2 open violations. Please vote no tonight. Find something else that's a better fit for this neighborhood and the neighbors.
Bauslog.
Hi, I'm Jean Bauslog. I've lived in Wheeling for over 45 years. We went to a starter home and never left. We live at Lakeside Villas. I was not, someone else from Lakeside Villas was supposed to be here tonight, so I'm not nearly as articulate or well-prepared as all the people who've spoken before me. And I agree with them 100%. This is surrounded by residential on all 4 sides. It's just impossible to see how this type of business makes any sense, other than I understand the revenue that would be generated for this area. I'm concerned about all the things that people have talked about, the safety, all of those things. I raised my children here. I now am watching my grandchildren, my 20-month-old little Mia, and I do not want anything ever to happen to her. I'm a grandmother. I'm a Jewish grandmother. We're crazy. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, it's, so it just doesn't make sense. There's no one that wants there's no services offered by this gas in this place that anybody wants to participate in. What are you going to do with it when it fails, or if it fails? This is just a negative impact, and it will have a negative impact on property values in the area. If I were going to buy in that area and I saw this, I would not. And Wheeling, in the years I've been there, has come so far, and really largely to the efforts of all of you and boards, and it is really a wonderful town with wonderful things. So please, let's leave it that way. Let's keep it safe and healthy, and let us all enjoy our nice, quiet, relatively quiet area. I thank all of you who spoke before me, who are very, very articulate, very much better prepared than I am, and have I think have provided you some real important data. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Amy Brown.
Sorry, I'm underdressed. I came from work. I have handouts. And I didn't run out of toner. I have 2 points to make. The second point has been made repeatedly, I don't need to talk about the third. My first point, in my opinion, the third-party environmental company engaged by Gas and Wash appears to be incompetent. First point, only point. Through the Freedom of Information Act, we have access to an email exchange between Nicholas Kazan of EPS, an environmental services company retained by Gas and Wash, and Gabrielle Isaacs, project manager at the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency. Please see Appendix A for information about the leadership and services of EPS. First, they state that, quote, leaking underground storage tanks are a significant source of environmental contamination and can be a threat to human health and safety. In addition, the potential contamination of soil and groundwater makes leaking tanks an extreme environmental risk, unquote. Their goal is to, quote, help our clients manage, report, and oversee remedial activities for leaking underground storage, LUSTs. Our ultimate goal is to assist our clients in obtaining a no further remediation letter from the IEPA, which signifies a release from further liability under the Illinois Environmental Protection Act. Please see Appendix B for the exact source of the following information. Please see Appendix C for a copy of this information. Because of our time limitation, I would just like to quote Mr. Kazan in an email from November 28, 2023, where he says, quote, since lead in gasoline was discontinued in 1978, it should not be an indicator contaminant, especially since the tanks were installed in 1991. I have not had an LUST incident with unleaded gas tanks installed before 1996 that required lead. Since when has that date been the cutoff? Let's break that down one sentence at a time. Since lead in gasoline was discontinued in 1978, it should not be an indicator contaminant. I think everyone here who is my age knows that leaded gas continued to be available at the pumps into the mid-1990s. How is it that the president and CEO of an environmental service company does not know that? Second sentence, I have not had a LUST incident with unleaded gas tanks installed before 1996 that required lead, unquote. He is saying he has not done remediation for a leaking underground storage tank with unleaded gas tanks installed before 1996 where the EPA requested lead testing. They are now. Third sentence, since when has that date been the cutoff? You may form your own opinions on that question from Mr. Kazan. Further on in the dialogue, Ms. Isaacs tells Mr. Kazan that the contaminated soil needs to be tested for lead unless he has documentation that the tanks never held leaded gas. In the summary, there are some redactions, and then the statement is flipped around to say, quote, since there is no documentation of the tanks ever having held leaded gas, unquote. You can imagine it would be difficult to find documentation from the 1990s, especially if you're not looking for it. Please see Appendix D. According to the Secretary of State website, EPS is a foreign corporation with address in Delaware. Foreign in the sense, Secretary of State outside of Illinois. They have an agent in Chicago, Gregory Castaldi, and that allows them to do business in Illinois. Their status, according to the Secretary of State, is not good standing. I did not have time to read all 2,376 pages about the leaking underground storage tanks at Tahoe Marathon, but someone should. There are also 11 documents comprising 1,045 pages regarding the cleanup at Hintz Dry Cleaners. In the final letter available from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency to Mr. McHenry, the EPA states they have completed a review of the revived focused investigation report, remediation objectives report, remedial action plan, remedial action completion report they received December 15th, 2023, prepared by EPS Services for Hintz Cleaner site. Based on the Illinois EPA review, the reports are disapproved with the following comments. There follows 1.5 pages or 4 paragraphs of reasons that Illinois EPA disapproved the reports. Not going to get to my second point, but I will say, as a gambling addict, that when the other places close at, Nino's at midnight, whatever, at 1 or 2, Stella's 1 or 2 in the morning, depending on which one it is, or midnight, Crave at 4 a.m., those people, they're all coming to Gas and Wash. They will, if they haven't lost all of their money yet, they're looking to do that.
Come on.
Thank you.
Larry Ponzi.
Can you hear me, Lisa? Sorry, I got scolded for not speaking loud enough last time.
I get that all the time.
Larry Ponzi, Longtree Drive, Wheeling. As of this month, my wife and I have lived in Wheeling for 40 years. That's a lot of Joe's Pizza. In 4 decades, we've witnessed tremendous progress in all parts of our town. You guys should be really proud. I'm concerned about the building of Gas and Wash in Wheeling. There's too much going on in one space, both environmentally and safety-wise. Gas and Wash estimates gas sales of 2 million gallons a year between 350,000 and 550,000 vehicles per year will take a detour onto this site. That's a lot of traffic and a lot of emissions. EPA says the Chicago area is considered non-attainment, which basically we're not attaining the goals that they're looking for. It means we have dirty air. I was told by August we will go into a new, more hazardous category of non-attainment. That means our air is getting worse. Our area has significant background air pollution count. Add 500,000 vehicles meandering through this site and you have more emissions. Gas and Wash plans to install 3 underground gasoline tanks among 5 with a total capacity of 36,000 gallons. Risks at a gas station start with the gas itself. Gasoline vapor can escape into the air in a number of ways. Fueling of underground tanks, venting of underground tanks, fueling of vehicles, spillage onto pavement, hose permeation, fugitive leaks from any of the tanks, pipes, pumps, hoses, nozzles, and all of the connections. Will all of these systems work perfectly? What's with gas vapor? Gas is a VOC, volatile organic compound, evaporates quickly. It builds up vapor in underground tanks at gas stations. This vapor pressure can open underground check valves and release untreated vapor into the air, creating a risk to surrounding residents. Wheeling's population density is 4,500 people per square mile. That's twice the density of the average Gas and Wash location. And this site has residents on all 4 sides, like you've heard 1,000 times. Wheeling should be required to require a belts and suspenders approach and require underground tank vapor pressure monitoring to track how often gas vapor pressure in the tank cracks open the pressure valves to release untreated, hazardous vapor, gas vapor into the air. Wheeling should require that they be able to track this pressure, the pressure releases, to see if, for themselves if the need is there to install an enhanced vapor recovery unit, an EVR. No doubt Gas and Wash will push back on this. They will say EPA doesn't require it. EPA requires stage 1 tank truck vapor recovery for fueling of underground tanks, but leaves it up to the states for enhanced vapor recovery, similar to setbacks. In Illinois, EPA, oddly, doesn't get involved with air quality issues related to gas stations. They leave it up to the towns. So we're on our own. California Air Resource Board, CARB, has a recommended setback of 300 feet from gas stations to homes. Larger setbacks are becoming more prevalent across the country. Carmel, Indiana, updated their setback from 80 to 500 feet. Indiana counties of Hamilton and Marion have adopted setbacks of 300 feet. Missouri, the entire state, has adopted the CARB 300 setback. Gas and Wash has 180 feet from their vent to Brook Run to the west. Cities like Fort Wayne, Indiana, and more are extending restrictions on locations of large gas stations, passing ordinances to limit new facilities, and some are banning new construction of gas stations altogether. Research has found that 80%, this is Boston Consulting, research has found 80% of gas stations will be unprofitable in as little as 12 years. At the June 12th meeting, Plan Commissioner meeting, one of the commissioners asked about bike racks and how a biker would get to the convenience store safely. Gas and Wash answered the question by focusing on the path from the west, across 2 aisles of traffic and 2 crosswalks into the store. I would like to draw your attention to what I think is a significant safety hazard. The southeast area, just north of the entrance from Hintz Road, that area has 6 aisles that vehicles can travel from. That's a total of 10 directions they can take, all possibly using the same open space. Or 11 if you consider bikes, skateboards, scooters, wheelchairs, vehicles on the sidewalk along the edge of the apron. I'm very concerned with the safety of anyone crossing in front of a car wash, vacuum aisle, drive-through entrance, considering all the other possible distractions. Signage will not fix this. Regardless if Wheeling does or does not enforce the most aggressive vapor recovery methods, or Gas and Wash redesigns the layout for the pedestrian safety, there's too much going on, too much risk. Like one of our trustees said, it's an intense use. Thank you. Vote no.
Marie Lundstrom.
Hi, my name is Anne Marie Lundstrom. I live at 2644 North Waterman Avenue, about a block from Gas and Wash. I am here because I am opposed to Gas and Wash truck stop. This site is surrounded on 4 sides residential, 2 sides Wheeling, 2 sides Arlington Heights. Wheeling has been a very good neighbor, and we have never had any issues until now. My family and many of my friends live, work, and vote in Wheeling. I have been to the 2 Plan Commission meetings. Well, actually, the last meeting was a carryover from the first public meeting. At both of those meetings, everyone that spoke was against the planned Gas and Wash truck stop. All were surrounding neighbors from Wheeling and Arlington Heights, as well as Buffalo Grove. As a matter of fact, not one person was in favor of the Gas and Wash truck stop. Wheeling has a municipal code and a special use review, and I quote, Municipal Code Chapter 1910-030, quote, may have information on special uses that are allowed in specific zoning districts. The corporate authorities may pass an ordinance to allow a special use if they determine it is necessary for public convenience and will not change the character of the area. Let me repeat that last sentence. The corporate authorities may pass an ordinance to allow a special use if they determine it necessary for public convenience and will not change the character of the area. Let me read your special use review, and I quote, a special use is the use of land, buildings, or structures which, because of its unique characteristics, cannot ordinarily be classified in any particular zoning district. In each case, careful consideration of the impact of the special use on the neighboring land must be given, and the appropriateness of the special use location must be determined. Wheeling is using at least 3 of these special uses for Gas and Wash. In the following your municipal code and the special use review, gas and wash seems not to be determined necessary at this site. We already have all these services right down the street. This site is 4 sides residential. Not one person at the meeting was in favor of gas and wash. We have never had a gas station the size of this, almost 4-acre property. And we, the neighboring residents from Wheeling, Arlington Heights, and Buffalo Grove, do not want this gas and wash at this site. We oppose it for environmental, traffic, and crime concerns, and because it's not necessary and will change the character of our residential area. We already have a convenience store and a liquor store a half a block away. We have a car wash down the street. The gas station didn't make it. In my opinion, gas and wash is not determined necessary for public convenience at this site. Gas and Wash Truck Stop is proposing 7 islands, 9 pumps, 18 nozzles, and can accommodate 14 cars at once, 2 dedicated diesel lanes and pumps for 18-wheeler trucks, a food pantry, 2 fast food restaurants, a drive-through, gaming slots, Wheeling already has plenty of them, and also a separate liquor store and a conveyor car wash. Most are planned to be open 24/7. The truck stop will trigger safety concerns and environmental issues that will change the character of our residential neighborhood. If gasoline and diesel fuel will be sold, then those living within 1,000 feet or more of the facility could be at risk for adverse health effects. This facility is located on a road lined with homes and residents, and it could impact by truck exhaust, noise, traffic safety issues, all this going on 24/7, and property value loss. Property value loss is from 3 different real estate brokers that sell homes in our area. Gas and Wash chose this property because they got it cheap, not because it's the perfect spot for a truck stop. Old Buffalo Grove Hintz Road is already a dangerous intersection, no traffic light there. I appreciate all of you. I was an elected official also. I know it's a hard job, but just remember, the people are the people who vote you in, and I hope you will listen to them. Thank you.
Karen Dorn.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I appreciate your service to the people of the Village of Wheeling, and your new Wheeling Town Center, as many have said, is a great addition to the community. My family and I have lived in our home for 26 years, and we love our quiet, peaceful neighborhood that borders Wheeling right on the other side of Buffalo Grove Road. We are opposed to the gas and wash because it will definitely alter the character of our surrounding area. All of the previous businesses on the property closed every night. History does show that no gas station has been successful on Hintz Road, and as others have said, we have gas stations close by, and again, like myself, people buy their gas at Costco, Woodman's, or on the north side of Lake Cook Road to avoid taxes. The proposed gas and wash will be open 24/7 and is residential on all 4 sides. Letters were mailed from GT Group to the property owners within 250 feet of the proposed site. The fact that property owners on all 4 sides of this site were mailed these letters proves the close proximity to all the surrounding residents. The management companies of the rental units were mailed the letter, but not the individual renters. Lights will illuminate these residences every night. Imagine never getting any relief from the light pollution generated from this site. According to the data that I have given, Wheeling would be the only gas and wash location with residences on all 4 sides per the data compiled on the summary. There are 11 locations with homes on 0 sides, 5 locations with homes on 1 side, 9 locations with homes on 2 sides, and 2 locations with homes on 3 sides. Please note that the average population density per square mile for the existing gas and wash sites is 2,309, while the average population density per square mile is almost double for Wheeling at 4,335 and Arlington Heights at 4,518. With the close proximity of this site to all four sides of the Wheeling location, many more people will be affected by the noise, light, and air pollution than their other existing locations. The Gas and Wash representatives encouraged us to visit one of their sites. My husband and I visited a Tinley Park location. I did send the video to you, and I'm going to try to attempt to play this because I want you to hear the loud sound of the conveyor car wash as I attempted to speak and shout over it. As you could probably tell in my normal voice, it's quite loud, and if I'm yelling and screaming at the top of my lungs, it was hard to hear. So let me try to see if I can do this. So I'm not sure if anybody could hear me trying to shout, but believe me, if I shouted without this microphone, I would be quite loud. An 8-foot sound wall will not block the sound from the second story or third floor apartments or homes surrounding this area. There was no car wash here previously, so this will most definitely change the character of our neighborhood. Imagine, like people say, young families with children, a child, a newborn baby trying to sleep during the day, take a nap. They're surely going to scream when they hear this type of noise. Also, dedicated diesel lanes with high canopies for semi-trucks are not needed in our neighborhood. Gas and Wash said that they will use the existing traffic for the diesel sales, and I'm guessing at that point not trying to invite any more in. Semi-trucks cannot drive westbound on Hintz Road, past Arlington Heights Road, and eastbound Hintz Road ends at Milwaukee Avenue. Why would a semi-truck take extra time to come from Dundee Road, Lake Cook Road, or Palatine Road to buy fuel here? If they're on Dundee Road, they will surely go north to Lake County instead of coming here to pay Cook County taxes. A semi-truck making a right turn onto Old Buffalo Grove Road from the right-hand lane on Hintz Road would need to extend, as I have in this little diagram, I guess, would need to extend into the west leftbound lane, the oncoming eastbound lane, and the southbound lane of Old Buffalo Grove before completing the turn as indicated on the driving school diagram.
That's it, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gary Dorn.
President and trustees, thank you for your years of service. Wheeling has accomplished many great things since I lived here. This town center is only one. Okay, thank you. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Wonderful. Okay. I do not agree with this proposal. Let me try to explain in my very ineloquent way why I do oppose it. One, I have a little concern about the people have been saying that there's not enough Wheeling residents here. I do beg to say that the notification from the WT group was only in English. Wheeling takes great pride on being very diverse. Per the Metropolitan Agency for Planning, only 40% of Wheeling is an English-speaking household. 25.6 speak Spanish, 15.6 speak Slavic languages, 7 other languages of note. 60% of the community is not English speaking. There are signs for free lunch programs offered at the school in English and Spanish. Why shouldn't the notices go out as well? That would also have to take place at any sort of signage that they're trying to direct traffic to, because there is such a strong Hispanic neighborhood in here. We also found that when you toured the neighborhood, that many of the people we spoke to did not know they could even speak out against this proposal. Many people said the apartment owners would just take care of them. But this development, like as many other people have said, does not belong in the community. 24-hour businesses do not belong in residential neighborhoods. Semi-trucks and big trucks around children are not safe. They're going to have a hard time making the turns, and they're going to have a hard time to see the children. Children will be riding bikes in the area, so they'll be going faster than just walking. There's a study in New York that showed large trucks compose only 3.6% of the vehicles, but they were responsible for 32% of bicyclist fatalities and 12% of the pedestrian fatalities. That's kind of significant to me. And there's also people from Philhaven who take their wheelchairs out in the neighborhood on the sidewalk on Hintz. As many people have said, we don't need a lot of the services being offered here. Previous gas stations have failed. If this station fails, it's going to be a bigger mess than the previous one has been to do it, because it will be just so big. And this development will certainly change the essential nature of the facility. The car wash will be allowed, even with fast opening doors, it will be allowed to neighbors. When I go up to the Toyota dealer, I see those fast doors go up and close, they bang. And any development like this should have a buffer around it, similar to Ricky Rockets, or perhaps even bigger. Property values are going to decline, or at the very least, not go up as the rest of the neighborhood will. According to a study in 2022, we looked at 430,000 historical sales in Dallas-Fort Worth area. Homes near gas stations sold for $100,000 less than those a mile away. Homes within 1/10 of a mile sold for a median price of only $230,000 compared to $330,000 for those a mile away. Homes 1.4 miles away sold for a median price of $345,000. That's a significant chunk of change for the people who are trying to sell off their house and then find a nice little retirement village. Crime will increase in this area. Basically speaking, nothing good happens after 2 a.m. We also have some questions due to the traffic study provided by Gas and Wash. The planner from the village of Brockton Heights included this, is that this does not include any actual historical data of the actual traffic generation for the previous use. Therefore, the traffic impacts are speculative and do not reflect the change of the impacts to the adjacent neighbors. Also, if a gas station would even drop the price per gallon to try to bring in additional business.
Finish your sentence, sir.
Okay.
No, finish your sentence.
That the gambling is, through ancillary in nature, it should be mentioned in this traffic study as a potential intensification beyond the run-of-the-mill convenience store. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Nell Greenlee.
I came here today to represent both myself and my parents. My parents aren't able to make it. It's difficult for them to make a journey. My mother was diagnosed with lung cancer some years ago, and she had a surgery that put her lungs at half capacity and on top of COPD. So more irritants in the air is not exactly a good thing for somebody with health sensitivities. So that's one thing to point out here. Another thing to point out that many of my neighbors have pointed out is the infrastructure. Old Buffalo Grove Road is not able to handle the kind of traffic that would be coming through it for Gas and Wash. So you'd have to expand the road. Where are you going to expand the road to? You'd have to remove the easement from the apartment properties. So then their sidewalk butts up right against the road. Are they going to have a sidewalk? These are all questions that have to be answered. We don't even have the information on what impact it's going to have on the environment yet. These are questions that should be answered before we take a vote.
Divot.
Hello, everybody. Thanks. 3 main points. I stand in strong opposition of the proposed gas and wash. As was earlier said, a lot of compliments to the board on what you've done for the village. I know a large part of what you've done is turning down projects that don't fit. This is clearly something that is not a good fit. Please vote no. Secondly, I'd like to say, read a very disturbing quote from one of our elected officials. I'm assuming it was a misquote, but I never saw a retraction. It referred to these people as a few people being overdramatic. In reverse order, we'll say that the dramatic nature of some of the comments, when a plan is this bad of a fit, people will get dramatic. Now, as far as this being a few people, I do not consider this a few people. The room only gets this full when the firefighters are getting promotions. Again, there was one comment in the entire month of June. So what you have here is an overwhelming mandate of the people. And for the record, the one comment in June was also in opposition to the gas and wash. So again, vote no on this proposal. And then really my third main point is for everybody here. I believe it's not enough to oppose something. We have to propose something of our own. So with this many people and this much energy on this, y'all live a lot closer. I'm on Schoenbeck and Dundee, but y'all live a lot closer to this place. What would you do with this? We're talking about how this is bad for the community. What could we do that would be good for the community there? I'm envisioning something like a green space or affordable housing, which has already been mentioned, but there's enough people here, there's enough dollars here that we could buy this property from them and do something that we want there. We'll move on.
John Gibb.
Okay, this is going to be tough. I'm speaking to you without a voice box. I respect everything that you guys. I tried the board once. I failed miserably. So you guys have my respect. This is the worst idea, and I'm not going to repeat everything that everybody else has said. I come here with a unique perspective. I am a 20-year tollway employee, and I have seen these places. Within the first 24 hours, the police will be called. Within the second 24 hours, more police will be called. There has already been a number of robberies at the 7-Eleven on the corner of Buffalo Grove Road and Hintz, a number. And one lady had to quit because she was so traumatized by it. My son recently got his concealed carry because of that situation. But I'm going to tell you, working on the tollway for 20 years as a road technician and seeing these truck stops, I assume that there are people here that represent the place that want to build this thing. It is the worst idea for Wheeling. I never come to these things. You guys have done unbelievable stuff. I've been here in Buffalo Grove and Wheeling for 30 years. A few in Buffalo Grove and a few in Wheeling. And it is, you see all this stuff that's going on in Chicago, and I always tell my kids, who we adopted from Guatemala, this is the safest place we can live. So hats off to you. And I'm not yelling at you or anything like that. I couldn't do your job with God's help. But this idea is, I can't stress enough from what I've seen on the roadway for IDOT and the Illinois Tollway. This is the single worst decision out of all of the awesome stuff that you guys have done that can go in Wheeling. I live in Tahoe Village, right behind it. I take my 4,000 step walk every day around, and I walk right past there, and all the grass is 11 feet high now. Don't do this. Please. Don't.
Faith Schwartz.
Hi, my name is Faith Schwartz. I'm a resident of Lakeside Villas. I have my master's in education and have worked with children for over 3 decades. I work for early intervention as a case manager and work with our most vulnerable population. First of all, I'd like to say that I agree with everything that everyone has said and spoken before me. Their research was excellent, and I would like to speak for those who can't speak for themselves, our children. First of all, if this happens, I would urge you to put a stoplight at Hintz and Old Buffalo Grove Road and make serious road improvements without impacting our sidewalks or our pathways. I would also urge you to put a light at Buffalo Grove Road and Old Buffalo Grove Road. I spend a lot of time doing meetings from my car. I sit in the 7-Eleven parking lot, but I've decided to change it up a little bit, and I spent some time in that empty lot. I do not see very much truck traffic. I've spent about 15 hours since my last time at this meeting in May, and I see very few local trucks. That means we will be bringing in trucks to our community, impacting the health of our children. I would urge you, if this gas station passes through, to make it not 24 hours, to eliminate gambling, to eliminate the car wash opening at 6 in the morning, and to minimize the amount of pumps. I used Tahoe gas station. They did not have many working pumps. They were mostly mechanics. So there was not many people getting gas at Tahoe, especially the last year since Garden Fresh closed. I have serious concerns on the effects of children's development, cognitive, health, sleep, vision, and hearing. I see many children with hearing deficits in my program, children who are born with their hearing impacted and children who have their hearing impacted during trauma in early childhood. I would say that having a 24-hour gambling casino with all the noise and a gas station that opens at 6 in the morning would truly impact children's sleep. Right now, the American Academy of Pediatrics limits children to 1 hour of screen time a day. More than that, children are prone to developmental delays and developmental and cognitive issues. If they are unable to sleep, they would be impacted in the same way as if you put them on a screen for 10 hours a day, which would be truly unhealthy for a 0 to 3-year-old. My clients surround that area. My clients live in Mallard Lake. My clients live in Northgate. My clients live in Brook Run. My clients live in Lexington. My clients live surrounding Lake Arlington. My clients live in surrounding Camelot and across the street. I would truly urge you to look at all of the research that these other residents handed you on the effects of children's health. Childhood cancer is always on the rise, and to purposefully put it in a community where there are children sleeping, living, and that might be where they're staying for a long time, especially homeowners. I have only lived in Wheeling for 2 years, but I have lived in the Wheeling Township for 25 years. When I moved from Terramere to Wheeling 2 years ago in Arlington Heights, my insurance went up, my car insurance, because Wheeling is less safe than Arlington Heights, according to State Farm. To bring in 24-hour gambling is just asking for trouble in our community. Already now, we have a higher crime rate of vehicles being stolen and home robberies in our community. I would like to say that I would like to urge you not to use this space for this purpose. I do not think it is necessary. I love Dunkin' Donuts, but I will never buy a cup of coffee, even though this is closer than any Dunkin' Donuts to my house. I will never buy gas, and I will tell all my friends and family that live in the area not to do that. I will never use the car wash. I will never use the vacuums, especially at 6 in the morning or on Sundays when people are sleeping. I will never go into that convenience store, even if 7-Eleven closes, which I hope it doesn't. I am really concerned about this gas and wash driving small businesses out of our area.
Claudette Hildenbrand.
Hi there. My name is Claudette Hildebrand. I'm an Arlington Heights resident. I live directly across Hintz Road on the south side, so all I see is this vacant land. I have lived there for 40 years. My home, I am a widow, my home is my retirement. I am retired. They are looking to ruin that for me. I'm sure, like they all said, none of you would want to buy a home or live around this. I wonder how many of them, if they had 4 acres next to their home, in front or behind, would actually say, hey, let's put up a giant truck stop and let's live next to it. I don't think any of them do. This is their job to do this. I have lived through the Butera, through the murders, through the Colby's outlet, through everything, the monkey business, them revving their engines on their motorcycles at 1 o'clock in the morning. So I've seen everything. I know that a truck will not make that turn on Old Buffalo Grove Road. My question is, if you pass this, are you also going to build a garage and house an ambulance and a police car there to pick up all the wounded kids? And that's my main concern, is children with no light there. That's 40 miles an hour on that road, and they're going even faster. Last time I said, what about the kids that disobey their parents, that come from my side of the street to go over and say, let's get a Slurpee. And they don't go down to the street by Windsor and where there's a light. So there's no light, so they dart across the traffic. These cars are going so fast. How many children are you willing to sacrifice disobeying their parents? I don't think any of you would want your grandkids or kids doing that, but kids will be kids and do that and dart across the road, and they are going to get hit, and the fire department is going to have to come and pick those kids up, and the police department is going to come. Do you want that on your conscience? I know I don't, and I would be one of the people that would be having to call when these kids are laying in the middle of the street. It's not worth this at all. And the trucks aren't going to be turning. There's going to be tons of accidents. I had a woman drive through my backyard, through a swing set and out the other end of my backyard. And the weather was perfectly fine. So we don't need this. This is a residential area, very nice, quiet residential area. I wanted to bring 2 of my neighbors with, but directly next to me, they're Korean, don't speak very well English. They didn't understand the letter that they got because it was in English. The woman next to them is also a widow like me, and she's Chinese. Didn't understand it either. So their little sign out there just didn't really cut it. And we don't need this in a residential area, and I know my house. I'm gonna have to shell out thousands for some kind of home security system, or I'm against guns, but do I have to go out and get myself a gun to secure my safety? Because people will go through my backyard. Once when something was robbed back there, yeah, the police came to my house because they did run through my backyard. I don't care for that. Like I said, this is my retirement, and now they want to ruin it. So please vote no. Thank you.
Denny.
My name is Robert Den. I am going to be brief because the prior speakers have covered virtually all of the points that I wanted to make. I can't help but recall the first meeting we had where we were told by the Gas and Wash people that it would not affect the neighborhood, that they had no plans to put up big billboards on Route 53. Don't worry. Well, I appreciate the concessions that have been made to date. I don't know the details of all of them, but I understand that some of the plans for running the place overnight are now no longer relevant. But dubious submissions to traffic between 9 and 6 are welcome, but they still, we have to consider the noise and the type of clientele for the people who are going to take advantage of the Gas and Wash. There's just no getting around that crime and gambling sometimes go together with these things. And I would hope that we don't have that happen here.
Joseph Flores.
Hello, my name is Joseph Flores. I'm 14 years old. I've lived in Arlington Heights since 2017. And I want to express my concerns and how much I would absolutely hate to have a Gas and Wash just 5 minutes down the road from me. This is 5 minutes down the road from me and less than a minute down the road from Wheeling High School. Now, I don't really like the kids from Wheeling High School, considering I go to Buffalo Grove, but I'm still concerned for 14-year-old kids, 15-year-old kids, 16-year-old kids, kids that can even drive. I don't want any harm to happen to anybody, no matter what the age. And the Wheeling population is 38,892. 21% of that is ages 0 through 19. Would you want them growing up around prostitutes, around people who are speeding down the roads, around people who are gambling? They're looking for fortune, looking for something good in their life to happen. And why? So that you guys can get money out of it? Profiting off of people's misfortune. That's messed up in of itself. Personally, I hope that this never happens. And I hope that if that comes into Wheeling, I hope it has the same fate as all of the gas stations before it. Thank you.
Virginia Cogliance. Sorry.
Thank you. I first and foremost want to thank everybody for showing up today. We're a working class family. My husband, my son, and I, we rushed after work to be here because of how much we really believe in this community. We live right on Hintz and Buffalo Grove Road. I grew up on Windsor. I was a little kid when they built Lake Arlington, very young, I won't age myself. I remember walking up Windsor Road, crossing Hintz to go to what was White Hen at the time. If all of you have grown up in this community like I have, you know how much it's changed. From 2-lane roads to now 4-lane roads. People are speeding down Hintz. I live on the 35-mile-an-hour area, and I could count on one hand the people who actually follow that speed limit. I am very concerned with the increased traffic that'll come down that street. As a working parent, I saved so many years to be able to buy a house in the community I grew up in. When I grew up, I appreciated the safety of the environment, being able to walk down the street, bike down the street. And I've seen the community just become better as I myself became a parent. And it's worth it to come after work, rush here, and see the community come together like this. I haven't heard one member of this community stand up here and support this. Not one. So it begs the question of who does it benefit? If not a single member of the community, not a single taxpayer has come up here to say, yes, I support this project, who does it benefit? Nobody is the correct answer. It benefits nobody. In this room is just a handful of people who came, who took their personal time to be here to voice their opinion. It is a handful of the community. But I'd like to read you all the definition of what a community is. A community is a social unit with a shared socially significant characteristic, such as place, set of norms, culture, religion, values, custom, or identity. Your community has stood before you and shared their values. They have shared what they believe and what has brought them together. And what we have come together as a community to say is no to gas and wash. And I urge you all to say no with us. Be with the community. Thank you.
Bartosik?
Personally. What I'm going to tell you is just simple, keep it simple. Everyone's had great ideas. I'm a former Northwestern grad, where I got my graduate degree. Business cases around the world, clients IKEA, Costco, United American Airlines. This is an epic business case fail. I don't understand why no one sees it. It's a CYA exercise. Just shut the stupid thing down and let everyone get back to their lives, because this is really bad. I'll be back at the next meeting for what I wanted personally. Best of luck, and I'm so sorry, everyone sitting here. And I'm down the street, so I get this shit, sorry. But this is an epic, epic business case fail. And I would never put this through as a graduate school project or investment banking, as I did that for 30 years. Epic fail, guys, epic.
Lynn?
The minutes may not accurately reflect his exact statements.
It's been a while. I was invited to the first two meetings, the planning meetings. Unfortunately, I didn't make it. I've only got one copy. My name is Michael Lynn. Been a practicing chemical engineer for 44 years. Worked for the U.S. EPA Region 5 Air Enforcement Branch. Speak into the microphone. Still not loud enough. I've worked for 44 years as a chemical engineer. I've got experience with the U.S. EPA Air Enforcement Branch. So I'm very familiar with the air regulations, current and past. The current ones, I've contacted the U.S. EPA a week ago. I contacted the state fire marshal because I heard not quite what I'll call up and up statements during a planning meeting from one of the individuals here. I also have contacted the Illinois EPA a couple of times, and I'll just start spelling it out. There is no real current regs to control permitting for gas stations right now. And what they haven't anticipated is the difference between the Ma and Pa gas station, like Scott owned, the Tahoe, versus what I'll call the super stations, where instead of 2 pumps or 2 islands, now you blow it out and you go 4 times that. And you can only anticipate 4 times the traffic, 4 times the pollution. Larry spelled it out nicely in terms of all the potential emissions from that. Now I'll spell out, what is gasoline? Everybody's probably poured it. You got to dispense it yourself. I don't know what year they started that, but if you smell it, I've heard it a couple of times. People have caught on as I've talked to others. Benzene is one of the primary concerns in gasoline right now. It's been a known carcinogen since the 1920s. The benzene workers, they identified cancer in those workers who were making the benzene product straight. They've identified gasoline as a possible carcinogen by the IARC, International Association for Research of Cancers, which means it's on everybody's list. It's on everybody's list. If you look at an SDS for any gasoline products from any of the distributors or manufacturers, you'll find this information just spelled out there. And in terms of both statements as well as pictograms showing the dangers. Now, unfortunately, I could not find anything from Gas and Wash, and I called them to see if I could get one. And I could not obtain, so I don't know where they're at with product safety. And again, I worked for over a decade for a company where I had to defend the company in multiple depositions on product liability. And gasoline is an interesting one right now. Gasoline is being studied as the whole by IARC to determine if gasoline itself should be raised as a known carcinogen in human beings. Right now, it's a potential, possible, it's called 2B, with benzene in there, which is a known carcinogen. All right, now you've heard from Larry in terms of all the emission points. Well, there's actually recent studies within the last couple of years published. They're called epidemiology studies, where they look at populations, cancer areas related to proximity to facilities versus the whole population. And they've identified linkages between low levels of the vapors that come off of large gas stations to, unfortunately, you've heard some of the passionate speakers tonight, their fears of their grandchildren and that, childhood leukemia. There's direct linkage. Public studies, and if anybody wants copies, I can pass those on. In fact, I passed them on to the Illinois EPA. Illinois EPA, when I talked to them, they regretted they couldn't help us. It is on you, unfortunately, that, and I say unfortunately because I don't know if there's a chemical engineer within the planning group or within the city organization itself. I offer services if you do need help. I really do. My only reason here, I've lived in, down the street from this location for 34 years. I don't think I'll be impacted. I know enough about the modeling and where the vapors will go. But without a doubt, without a doubt, it's zero setback to the apartment buildings on one side and on the other side, and probably 100 feet to the townhouses on the opposite side of Old Buffalo Grove Road. I'm about probably 500 feet. Now, Larry alluded to, there is the CARP, which is the California Air Resource Pollution Board. They are way ahead of everything. When I worked for the EPA, everything the US EPA was building with the development of the Clean Air Act in terms of modeling emissions came out of California. So you consider modeling and determine what the safe distances are. This is not as laid out a safe distance.
Thank you, sir.
Bill?
Good evening. My name is Laura Virgil. I live in the Arlene Grove complex, which is half a block from this proposed site. Now, I have lived in this complex for 32 years. It has been a wonderful place to raise my 3 children. The school districts were wonderful, and it's been a great, peaceful area. Now, the noise and the impact of potential crime in this area is devastating to me. Are you willing to increase our police department double, triple, or quadruple to ensure our safety from what element is going to be coming into the community? Will you be increasing the fire and emergency services? How are our children going to be safe in this area? The hundreds of children that live in this area alone, from Brook Run to Mallard Lake to Tahoe, and on the south side, I see children running through the streets of the cul-de-sacs, of up and down the streets, bicycling. I see the track and cross-country teams running up and down Hintz Road. How are they going to be impacted? Not to mention the environmental impact. Now, I'm a parent of a cancer survivor. My daughter lost 50% of her lung capacity due to a stem cell transplant. It took her almost 8 years to regain all that back. Living behind those emissions is going to be detrimental to her health. I can't imagine why you would do this to our community. It is a beautiful, beautiful community, and I wish you would please take that under consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. That does conclude the citizens' comments for the evening. We're going to start with the business of the meeting. Clerk Brady.
13C, ordinance granting special use for preliminary planned unit development, PUD, approval for a gas station with convenience store and drive-through restaurant for Lenny's Gas and Wash, Hintz Road and Old Buffalo Grove Road, LLC.
Clerk Brady, read all of them. Let's just consider all of them together. We don't have to go through
Mr.
this.
Chairman, Mr. President, may we take a 5-minute break?
If somebody makes a motion and seconds it.
I would like to make a motion that we take a 5-minute break.
Motion, Trustee Rufato, second, Trustee Papantos. It is 8:44. Everybody be back around 8:50.
Thank you.
You want to vote? That's why you're here. Roll call.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Hey, guys, we're still working here.
Trust-
Guys. Go ahead.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, recess. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the meeting. It's time to sit down and stop talking. All right, I need a motion to call back to order the village meeting for July 1st.
So moved. Second.
Trustee Rufato, second. Trustee Kruger, roll call, please.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, Clerk Brady, would you please reintroduce? We're going to be considering all of the issues at once instead of stopping and reading, so just 13C through F, if you would please.
Okay. 13C, ordinance granting special use for preliminary planned unit development, PUD, approval for a gas station with convenience store and drive-through restaurant for Lenny's Gas and Wash, Hintz Road and Old Buffalo Grove Road, LLC, 1750 and 1798 West Hintz Road, docket number PPU D23-0004. 13D, ordinance granting special use approval to permit the operation of a detached car wash for Lenny's Gas and Wash, Hintz Road and Old Buffalo Grove Road, LLC, 1750 and 1798 West Hintz Road, docket number PSU 24-0007. 13E, ordinance granting special use approval to permit the operation of a packaged liquor store, Lenny's Gas and Wash, Hintz Road and Old Buffalo Grove Road, LLC, 1750 and 1798 West Hintz Road, docket number PSU 24-0008. And 13F, resolution approving the preliminary plat of lots 1 and 2 in Zales Subdivision for Lenny's Gas and Wash, Hintz Road and Buffalo Grove Road, LLC, 1750 and 1798 West Hintz Road, docket number PSU BPP 24-0003.
Thank you, Clerk Brady. Mr. Clicker, you're up.
Yes, the petitioner and property owner is seeking a special use approval for a preliminary PUD to redevelop the 4.16 acre vacant property at the northeast corner of Old Buffalo Grove Road and West Hintz Road to include a gas station with a convenience store, with a drive-through for a quick service restaurant. The C-store will also include a second counter service restaurant inside the store building that will not include drive-through services. The proposed PUD will also include a separate diesel fueling area to the north of the C-store building and a detached car wash on the east portion of the development, which will include self-service vacuum stations, a small storage building, a trash enclosure, 2 air pumps, a liquid propane fueling tank area will be included as support buildings, as well as a support building services to the gas station. The petitioner is, I just want to state it about the video gaming. The petitioner is, per the Illinois Gaming Board definition of a truck stop, meets the criterias for gaming. This is not anything that the village is considering as a truck stop. It is a gas station with diesel pumps. There are the requirements for the video gaming with the state Illinois Gaming Board are that the site be at least 3 acres with a convenience store. It have separate diesel islands for fueling commercial vehicles, and that it sells retail more than 10,000 gallons of diesel or biodiesel fuel per month, and with parking spaces for commercial motor vehicles. If the applicant meets those requirements with the Illinois Gaming Board, the Illinois Gaming Board will issue them a gaming license.
In other words, that's not within our purview.
It's not up for our consideration tonight, correct. They have requested some code relief as part of this PUD. They're actually quite minor. They're actually requesting to increase the fence height to allow an increase of maximum fence height from 6 to 8 feet of the perimeter fence. This was the petitioner's request to better soundproof the area. They're requesting to decrease the drive aisle width to the village code states 26.6 feet, and they would like the drive aisles to be 25 feet. They reduce the foundation landscaping to allow for the west and south elevations of the convenience store and the west side of the car wash to not include foundation landscaping, but they have included additional landscaping pods around the site. And for an additional wall signage, to permit an additional wall sign on the east side of the unleaded fuel station canopy, which does not face an off-street parking lot or street frontage. As part of the Plan Commission hearing, there was a lot of discussion regarding the PUD, as we heard tonight, and there were some conditions placed on it by the Plan Commission. Those conditions are that, 1, overnight customer parking on the site is prohibited. Overnight parking for the site means the parking of a vehicle in one spot continuously for a period of time exceeding 4 hours at a time during the hours of 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. the following day. This excludes employee parking. 2, the preliminary PUD documents shall be revised as follows prior to the review and consideration by the village board. And I would just like to note that they have done this. So the ordinance that is presented for you for consideration reflects this. But the condition was that an irrigation plan shall be updated to be consistent with the landscape plan, and that be to resolve conflicts with trees and light fixtures on the northern property line, which shall not result in the reduction of proposed trees in this area. The third condition, which is actually now going to be on the proposed ordinance as the second condition, the final PUD submittal shall include the following items in addition to the submittal requirements of section 19.09.010E5. A, project approval from the Cook County Department of Transportation and Highways is required prior to the final PUD. As has been noted tonight by many of the residents, both Old Buffalo Grove Road and Hintz Road are under the jurisdiction of Cook County Highway Department. So a final approval for the project for their access points and how they're impacting the roadways needs to be obtained from them. And the fourth condition was there shall be no diesel fuel operations of any kind between the hours of 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. the following day. As I stated, the conditions for number 2 have been met, so those have been again changed and reflected in the ordinances presented to you for your consideration. In speaking about the special uses for the, let's go to the car wash, there were some conditions placed on by the Plan Commission, and they are that approval of the special use for a car wash facility is contingent upon the petitioner receiving approval of a preliminary planned unit development of docket number PPUD 23-0004. Excuse me, I'm gonna take a quick drink. A wheeling business license must be obtained from the Community Development Department before the business begins operations at the subject site, and that hours of the car wash facility and self-service vacuum station shall be limited to 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. In dealing with the liquor store, there were conditions placed on that request, and the conditions were approval of the special use for a packaged liquor store is contingent upon the petitioner receiving approval of a preliminary plan development of docket number PPUD 23-0004 and obtaining a wheeling liquor license from the Liquor Control Commission. 2, all packaged liquor sales shall occur within a dedicated tenant space pursuant to the floor plans prepared by WT Group dated February 21st, 2023, last revised March 29th, 2024. Number 3, a wheeling business license must be obtained from the Community Development Department before the business begins operations at the subject site. And 4, hours of operation for the packaged liquor store shall be limited to 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. The fourth item was in regards to the preliminary plat for the re-subdivision of the development. Items C, D, and E all received a recommendation of approval by a 5-2 vote. Item F received recommendation of approval by a 6-1 vote. Alex Cougar from Gas and Wash and his team are here to offer additional information and answer any questions, should there be any.
I imagine everybody's going to have some questions. You want me to just go down the table, or you guys want to, Trustee Vogel, questions?
Would we like?
Oh, and again, that's why you're here.
There was,
Yes, my mistake.
right.
Their turn.
start questions or we're
It's-
doing a presentation?
Presentation.
Okay. Chris, do you want to start?
Okay, yeah. Is he going to put up? Okay.
And you'll have control with the mouse.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Christian Kolashevsky. I'm a registered architect for WT Group. We're the architects for the project. We have several people on here. Alex Cougar from Gas and Wash, Lyman Tiemann, our lawyer, Brian Hertz is our civil engineer, and then Andrew Bowen is our traffic engineer. So for further questions, we want to just focus on some of the key items that we want to bring out and read just a couple things, and then Alex will talk about some of the operations things. One of the things that we like to note, and we'll just stay here on this site plan. The entire site plan itself has what's called a maximum coverage ratio by your code of 35%. We're at 24%. So we're not trying to exceed right to the point there. The LSR ratio minimum is 25%. We're 33%. The FAR...
You're using jargon that I don't think a lot of people understand. Could you say it
Okay.
in nice, simple English?
Okay. What I'm trying to say by these numbers is that we far exceed what your ordinance requires. And in terms
Relative to
of the
green
land,
space.
in terms of the green space, in terms of the landscaping amount, and then also the density of the site. There's been several things saying this is a very dense site. Actually, it's only 0.08. What does that mean? That's the area of the buildings divided by the land area. What was there before had an FAR ratio of 0.27. So we're less than a third of the density. So just wanted to point out that we are not trying to put too much on this site. The other item that we'd like to say about safety, we just want to read one thing in terms of, this is from Chief of Police Philip Arnold in Shorewood. The Lenny's location in Shorewood backs up to two large residential subdivision containing hundreds of homes, one of which is a gated senior living community. Several homes are immediately adjacent to the gas and wash. Since the opening of the facility in Shorewood, we have seen no increase in criminal activity in the area. I want to just share one part of and these are from the Chief of Police. This is from Matthew Walsh, Chief of Police from Tinley Park. Gas and Wash operates two motor fueling facilities within my jurisdiction as Chief of Police. Both facilities have truck fueling as well as auto fueling, and each facility has a convenience store, car wash, and video gaming terminals. Tinley Park has not experienced any criminal activity directly related to these operations. I believe that the Gas and Wash fueling centers are well managed and clean and safe. So we just want to point out those items, and that's all.
Can everyone hear me okay before I get started? Perfect. President and trustees, just want to thank you for your time. There's been a lot of time put forward on behalf of everyone today, so just wanted to start with that. A number of points that have been brought up. One is the EPA. Obviously, we need, with it from the EPA, we need an NFR letter before we can proceed with construction on the site. We've taken a number of steps to get what we need to have an NFR. However, as I said in the last meeting with the Planning and Zoning, it's not complete yet, and we're waiting for final approval to proceed to get the NFR letter. So I just want to make that point. I know it was brought up, it's a concern, understandably so, but we would not proceed until we receive the NFR letter. Community focused, it's been a theme that we brought up a number of times. I know that there's concern about four sides. We've got a lot of sites that are adjacent to communities. We have put the sound barrier wall at a number of our sites, and it really looks nice in the community, and that sound barrier wall has done a great job blocking the sound in the community.
Please. It's not going to happen. Keep it nice and civil, okay?
Thank you. Like I said, and I know Chris just brought up in Shorewood. Shorewood's one site where we have a bike rack similar to the one we'd have here, and it's frequently used. It's not a problem at all. There's been a lot of false accusations that there's going to be kids run over at one of our sites. We have 30 locations, and that has never happened at a single site that we have. We take our brand and our safety very seriously. This is a family-run, privately held business that can only survive on the brand. And if safety isn't at the forefront of what we do not have a viable business. Again, 30 sites, it's never been an issue. And we have another site where there's a lot of kids that come off a trail, park their bike, and it's safe. Their parents wouldn't let them go there if it wasn't safe. So again, it's very important to us that we are part of the communities we operate in. Another point was the impact on home prices. We have two sites, one in Plainfield and one in Theodore and Droughton. They're doing a development right now, especially the one in Theodore and Droughton, directly behind our gas station and car wash. If the developers felt that there was a lack of desire to live by one of our sites, they would not invest tens of millions of dollars that they are doing for these developments. So that is a testament to what we brought to the communities we operate in and the attractiveness of the sites we build. In conclusion, you've heard, and there's all the evidence from the planning and zoning meetings of what kind of operators we are and what we want to do for the community and in the community. Thank you for your time today.
Don't do that. Questions? Trustee Vogel.
You said the NFR letter, you're working on it. How long do you think it'll take before you get that letter?
It should be pretty quick. I brought up the third-party environmental firm. Eckert is doing that work for us. And there's been a lot of back and forth with Eckert and the EPA. We don't anticipate a long lag at all if we receive approval and we're able to proceed. Another thing I forgot to mention is we also have to demo the building currently on site if we get approval.
Okay, I assume you've taken soil samples, et cetera.
Yes, the primary remediation work that's already been done, and the cleanup that's been done was with the old dry cleaner. Obviously had some contamination that we had to clean up. That's been cleaned up. And then the tanks in the ground have already been cleaned up. There's some my understanding, I'm not the environmental expert, minor work that needs to be done to clean up and then get a final submittal in to the EPA for the NFR.
Okay. They talk about gaming, a lot of talk about gambling and gaming. If we would restrict the hours to the convenience store where the gaming, I assume, is going to be, is that correct? Where will the gaming be located?
The gaming's inside the convenience store.
Okay, if we restrict the hours to that convenience store, that would restrict your hours. That's the only way we could control the gaming. Would that be a deal breaker for you?
That's a pretty big issue to restrict the hours. All of our sites are open 24 hours a day, and you can look at the traffic patterns, right? To everyone's point, after really 7 p.m., our traffic slows down substantially. It's not like Gas and Wash is a dinner hotspot. And we have those traffic numbers we can follow up with. What I'd say is we like to be part of the community's routine, whether that's, hey, I'm going on a road trip or I have a night shift. It's not a bar. People aren't allowed to consume liquor on premise. So it's not like they were able to hang out there and drink there and consume liquor on premise.
Kind of an indirect answer. Would it be a deal breaker if we limited the hours?
It would be a real challenge if their hours were restricted.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Vogel. Trustee Raffato.
So thank you. I too would like to restrict the hours on the C-store simply because of the gaming. All of our gaming, and I know we can't control this particular gaming, I would like to, the way we could control it is to control the hours of the C-store. Make it whatever our licenses are for the other gaming. What is it, 1 o'clock or?
It's 2 a.m. because it
2 a.m.
runs concurrent with our
2
liquor
a.m.
license.
That's, I too would like to see that. But I have other questions, but I wanted to just play on Trustee Vogel's comment. You, in one of the Plan Commission meetings, you talked about fleet cleaning. You have a service for fleet cleaning?
Yeah, so by fleet, we mean like the police vehicle fleet, or if someone has a fleet of cars for business and they want to sign up 30 cars, we offer a specific program for that.
Okay, so it's just in essence, here's a card, you can use it in your car wash.
Deals with the sign up, so we would sign up the license plate. We have license plate reader technology, so it would read the plates that would be signed up.
Okay. Yeah, but are you doing anything special other than going through the car wash?
No, not at all.
So if we had a bunch of cars on my block and we wanted to all get into a fleet, we'd get a card and do that. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but that's what you're talking about.
Correct.
Okay, all right. I was just curious about that. Then there has been a lot of discussion about the vapors and everything, benzene. A lot of information here, and I watched the Plan Commission. Can you explain again how it won't be reduced, obviously, but the controls in place that you're going to put in place to keep that to a minimum?
Yeah, and we can bring up, if you want to go even deeper, we can bring Chris back up here, but at a high level, I'll speak to that. 50 years ago, it was just a steel tank that would be dropped in the ground. There was no monitoring. There literally was no monitoring of if there was a leak, if there was a spill, if anything happened, the operator would have no idea. Fast forward to the technology today, we use double-walled fiberglass tanks with interstitial monitoring, and that's just a fancy word that means if there's any type of leak between the first tank and the second tank, we're alerted, and we cannot continue to pump any fuel until it's looked into. So we detect leaks real time, and we're EPA compliant for all the rules and regulations, which have been substantially updated. I know it's been, you've heard timing-wise, but in 1998. So again, and again, the state tests randomly, and we always have to adhere and be compliant with the state. We don't cut any corners on costs. We use a locally based fuel company that does all the tank and dispenser install, as well as any kind of tech support and help. If we have a dispenser problem, they come out and have a tech inspect.
Okay. Then, the next question is around the traffic study. I tried to read it. It's a lot of information. But in essence, what I saw is that there is a nominal increase in traffic based upon studies, based upon...
I'll let the traffic expert answer that one.
Yeah, because you guys have to somehow consolidate it a little bit in more precise, because pages and pages is, and a lot of tables.
All right, first, I'm Andrew Bowen with KLOA. Yeah, there's a couple things to say there. First is that fuel centers mostly take from the existing traffic on area roadways. So the increase to the general area is not, as high as other developments, is because it's mostly drawing from those local things. And then the other large thing to consider is that this was, a previously developed site, and so we looked at we compared the proposed development to that and saw that they have similar generation. So this development won't be bringing large amounts of new traffic to the area, as it will mostly be drawing on existing traffic and going into a previously developed area.
And when you do a study, how are you there looking at the traffic, or are you using statistics to generate your traffic studies?
We did do counts at these locations at the site to determine the existing traffic in the area. But as far as what percent is new versus from, diverted from the area roadway, that's based on statistics. It's based on surveys of many, many locations across the country of similar developments. It's a very specific, they get down to the exact kind of fuel center, and we look at surveys for that exact kind of fuel center and use that to determine the rates.
But a fuel center around a residential area, for instance, is that one of, because you're putting a gas station, residential, in four sides.
That's true.
And is that one of the criteria that is used?
It is not one of the criteria, but the traffic is still going to be mostly people who are in vehicles, so it's going to be diverting from roadway traffic no matter where it is.
Okay, all right, thank you. I heard I think it was the architect that was talking at one of the Plan Commission meetings about the future of gas stations, and I think one of the residents talked about the future of gas stations. I don't know how long that's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be in my lifetime, but we've got EV and we've got CNG, and I think somebody mentioned hydrogen. Can a gas station like that be converted to something that is that's strictly an alternative alternative fuel?
Yeah, so at a high level, they're still figuring out a number of challenges with hydrogen. Fundamentally, if it can be stored in a tank, that infrastructure is already there. It is worth noting, brought up at PZC, but not tonight, that we run electric to the curb. So once there's greater adoption of EVs in the local area, we could have a charger at this site.
Okay, all right. And then I'm sure I'll have one last question. I'll probably have more. You're required to pump 10,000 gallons of diesel per month in order to have gaming. Okay. Does that once you get the approval, does anybody ever check that? And what happens when you consistently for a year go under that? Do they take away your license? Has that ever happened? Do they really check?
So I'll answer your question in multiple parts because there's a couple.
All right, yeah, a lot of questions there.
There's a lot of questions there. So yes, the IGB, the Illinois Gaming Board, does check. 10,000 gallons sounds like a lot, but it's really not a very high number. It includes auto diesel. We call it truck diesel and auto diesel. So F-150s, F-250s, even landscapers could fill up there. And then there's also the Class A or 18-wheel trucks, right? I brought this up again. Pilot loves TA. They're doing 20,000 gallons a day. So if we could do 10,000 gallons in a month, including auto diesel, it's not a very high number. If we do 500 gallons, right, a day of diesel, which is a somewhat low estimate, we'd be able to get there. So it's not a concern to hit 10,000 gallons of diesel a month here.
And they do, and the Illinois Gaming Board does check that.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have right now.
Thank you, Trustee Rufato. Trustee Vito?
To the 10,000 gallons, if somehow you didn't meet that number and the gaming license was revoked, I guess, how devastating would that be to the business?
Yeah, so it's definitely a recurring theme that's been brought up. So gaming revenues are less than 4% of a given site's revenue on average. So it's a nice piece of the business, right, with the cost, and we, 7% interest rates. We do financing for our sites. So it's definitely gotten more and more expensive with inflation. So it helps with all of those components, but it wouldn't be ideal, but it wouldn't mean that we'd have to close our doors that second.
Okay. The one concern I share with the residents is if you asked me to invest in this property, I would not do it with you. I don't think this is going to succeed just because. Don't clap. You're not going to be clapping later. Okay, save those claps because you're not going to clap for me later. But I don't understand where you're going to get enough traffic on Hintz Road to keep this viable, given every other gas station has failed there.
Yeah, there's
and a grocery store and everything else that's ever been there. Go ahead.
Yeah. Is there anything else to that?
No.
Question. Yeah, there's been a lot of statistics thrown around tonight about 80% of gas stations being unviable in the next 12 years. And I don't mean to make those up. I think that's what I remember hearing. But the gas station model of old, where you had a 1,200 square foot kind of sit-go, where it was like you could go in and get a pack of cigarettes and you'd leave, isn't a model that a lot of people and customers are gravitating towards. That's why this model is kind of what you're seeing being built, not just in the Chicago area, but around the country. There's a number of different operators that are gravitating towards a larger footprint model where it's a one-stop shop. It can be part of that daily routine. Understand the concerns as far as failure in the past. We feel strongly that this is kind of our niche and kind of being embedded in the community. We've developed sites, very similar car count, that have done very well for us.
Yeah, and I understand that. I mean, I'm not saying that the store type's the issue. I mean, the stores are great. They're successful in places where you would think they'd be successful. I just don't think this is going to be successful. But with that said, this will be the second business tonight that I'm probably going to approve that's probably going to fail, like the coffee shop, because it's very difficult to be in that business. But I can't vote against you just because I think you're going to fail when I think you meet all of the zoning requirements, because it's your capital. But I would seriously reconsider that before you get too deep into it. Thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Vito. Trustee Kruger.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks for being here. I'm just going to go through the packet as it was distributed to us, and my questions are all over the place, so bear with me. Gaming is a topic, so I heard you answer the 10,000 gallons of biodiesel and diesel fuel sales, that you feel like you're going to be able to meet that monthly requirement. You said that the state does check you. How often? Every month?
They don't check every month. The IGB, like a lot of government bodies, don't have the manpower to check. I'd have to look at how many gaming establishments they have that are designated as a truck stop and liquor license, et cetera, but it's not on a monthly basis. Again, I think conservatively
Excuse me, can you keep it down over there, ladies? Thank you.
I feel very confident in that, we'd be able to at least hit 500 gallons of diesel a day conservatively, so we wouldn't be close.
But it won't be monitored because of IGB staffing levels, that they're not going to watch and make sure that you do hit the 10,000.
Well, they spot check at any time, right? They can ask for numbers, but it's not a monthly deal.
And let's say you don't make it. I didn't quite hear the answer of what happens if you don't. They revoke the license, you cordon off the area, and there's no gaming until you reach the 10,000.
You would just close down gaming until you did hit that number again.
That's what I figured. Okay, great. I'm going to switch then down to the code relief requested. Item number 2 is the decreased drive aisle width. I had asked staff this question earlier today, but you want to reduce it from our code of 26.5 feet to 25. And I believe I'd like to get a confirmation that it's going to be wide enough for emergency vehicles. I'm so sorry, I'll get right on top of this thing. The code relief, number 2, for the decreased drive aisle width from 26.5 to 25 feet, will it be wide enough for emergency vehicles?
Short answer, yes, they will be. We're required to do auto turns, and so we go through and maneuver through the site. Typically, the typical width is actually 24 feet, so even 25 feet is 1 foot wider than what's typical in all the communities we develop.
I have heard that. Thank you. Let me go to my next question. Condition number under 3A. This was the regarding the County Department of Transportation approval. Is there any contemplation or more regarding Old Buffalo Grove Road? Because I've driven that road every single day of my life. Folks, for those of you that have been living in this area for a long time, I got you all 61 years. And at the same house that I grew up at, the property I grew up in. So I have driven past this site for my entire life. And driving down Old Buffalo Grove Road is like driving on the moon sometimes. So is there any contemplation of that road, not just getting Cook County approval for you to move forward with your plan, but for it to get repaired? Or at least improved enough to accommodate what you're going to build?
As far as kind of that approval, that's outside of our jurisdiction, of course, but we'll do everything we can to make, obviously, the turn egress, ingress on our site and going onto our site as easy as it can be for our customers.
Okay, my last question is, the question is superficial, but I drive by there every day, like I said, and there's a mailbox, a blue USPS mailbox on Old Buffalo Grove Road. It's on your property. Is it going to stay there?
Yes, it will.
Okay. Sorry, I took a picture of it and sent it to staff and went, does anyone know about the mailbox? And this is just some FYI. There was talk about crime and an increase in crime and crime. And I had asked for some stats. I wanted to know, when did Garden Fresh close their, go dark? That was in 2014. It was actually raised in 2015. The balance of that strip center was raised at the end of 2022. But I did ask, I know for a fact that me and some of my neighbors have sent pictures to our police staff of 18-wheelers illegally parked overnight at the Garden Fresh site since Garden Fresh closed. That stat, based on the police department statistic, was 56 parking tickets at the location since June 6th of 2017. Chief Dunn, can you tell me what percentage of those parking violations were large articulated trucks?
It was a little over 90%. Majority of the issues over there were the semis parking overnight.
So folks that were worried about overnight parking, it was already happening, but illegally. And that this was a great piece of information too, in that just showing that the police department resources that have been expended on that site is over 155 extra watches on that site by our police department since January 1st of 2020. And there have been actually 2 complaints by phone regarding this site since January 1st of 2020. I just thought those were some interesting tidbits of what's been going on over there. I might reserve my my personal comments about the site overall to later, but thanks for answering my questions.
Thank you, Trustee Kruger. Trustee Papantos?
Thank you. Director Clicker, how long has this site been B3? In other words, commercial development?
Since 1969.
Thank you. So it is meant for commercial development. We are not changing zoning at all, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Chief Dunn, have you looked at crime statistics for 24-hour sites?
Yes, we've analyzed those statistics.
And should we worry about 24-hour operations?
No. In our area, in the northwest suburbs, 24-hour operations are fairly safe. It's obviously crime of opportunities can occur because of the amount of time they're open, but no more, no less, hour by hour than any other business.
Thank you. Can you, as a business, sorry, so you don't get bored here, until you get the NFR, the no further remediation letter, can you do anything?
It depends on if we could get kind of a basic foundation permit as we get started to kind of work around the site where we're waiting on remediation results.
If you got that permit in order to start your foundation and you didn't get the NFR letter, it'd be on you, right? It's your risk?
Correct. It would be at risk, so at developer risk.
So you will probably not go too far until you know you're going to get that NFR letter.
Correct, but there's been a lot of back and forth already between, again, Eckert and the EPA about what will be needed to get that NFR letter.
Right, but
Yeah.
you're going to get it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Correct.
There was a comment about prostitutes, and I applaud you for a 14-year-old for coming up to a mic. It's not always easy. I think you may have watched a few too many movies and heard some things that just aren't out there anymore. The truck stop designation for this is the truck stop designation or the definition per the Video Gaming Act. There are other truck stop definitions, I'm sure, within the Illinois code, but this is only for the Gaming Act, which determines the size of the lot. It has to be at least 3 acres.
Correct.
And the amount of fuel pumped, whether or not it's a truck stop or a large truck stop. Difference between the two is the amount of gallons of
Correct.
diesel.
10,000 versus 50,000 gallons.
And it allows you a difference in the number of machines.
Correct. 6 versus 10.
And our regular video gaming license, as far as any, maybe a video gaming cafe or those restaurants that want to have video gaming or taverns, are all 6. They're limited at 6, just as a matter of fact. So you're going to be right alongside with everybody else as far as the number of machines.
Correct. And just a quick point. Yeah, the prostitution assumption is very antiquated, one, for today's business, and two, there's no truck parking, and it's typically what's associated with that is trucks. There's no, one, that's never happened on our sites. We would never allow that to happen on our sites. And two, there's no place for a truck to even park on this site.
And you will not have shower facilities, you won't have...
Correct. All the amenities associated with the long-haul truck drivers, no showers, no sit-down restaurants, no laundry. And again, I brought this up, 85% of the diesel volume in the U.S. is between Pilot, Loves, TA. Their fleet card only works at those operators, so they couldn't fill up here.
Are you planning to try to get more business, more traffic to come there on its own versus what's already going by?
No, as said in the traffic study, it's all the existing traffic on the road.
Right, so you're not going to go out and say, hey, come over here, it's new, we'll give you a discount or gas or anything like that.
No,
You're not trying to lure any more semis.
No, for our soft opening weekend, we do like the first 2,000 car washes are free, but that's it. That's the only thing we do.
Sir, we don't.
No, sir.
Thank you. So you're not going out for additional traffic to come through?
Correct. We'll be able to, it's what we've done historically, and it's always been, it's always been something we've been able to do, of capitalize off existing traffic on the road in the existing community.
And how many locations do you have in Illinois?
31, we're about to open up number 32 a week from this Friday.
And when was the first one opened?
February 2012, officially opened doors.
So a 12-year-old business, and is it successful at this point?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah,
So it's still open?
We wouldn't be able to, yeah. We haven't closed, there hasn't been a single site that we've closed. We've sold one downstate in Springfield because it didn't fit the geographic footprint we wanted to grow in.
Sorry, I'm just going through my notes, too. There's been a lot of talk about the C-store and whether or not it should be 24 hours. And just as for somebody who used to work a second shift, having something open at 1:32 in the morning is extremely convenient. That's why it's called a C-store. It is a convenience store. We need to stop. We need to get gas. And when I was young, and that's what I was doing, you don't always think about getting your gas before you go to work. You know, you're out, you're running around. There are people who work third shift. They appreciate being able to pull into someplace at 6 in the morning, grab that gallon of milk or whatever it is they need. I mean, C-stores have been open 24 hours for a long time. And there are times when it's midnight and you need something and you start going through your phone to see who's open at midnight or 12:30, especially when your dog gets skunked and you're out of hydrogen peroxide. Not that it's happened recently, but it does. So one thing that we've talked about a lot, and I want to point out as far as safety, the Village of Wheeling, the IEPA, the EPA, and a host of other government agencies would not approve a gas station if it was unsafe. It doesn't matter how many homes, are around it. The Village of Wheeling cares about one resident next to it versus 1,700 residents next to it. We don't say one life versus there's four. Okay, for those of you who are shaking your head, you don't think we care? I beg to differ. We've been successful. We pay attention to what we can do for our residents without raising their taxes. And that's an important point for everybody. Bringing in revenue makes a difference for us. Increasing the property tax value on this site, which is now a vacant lot, makes a big difference for all the other taxpayers because you're going to be paying a larger share. I'm assuming the commercial rate? We don't discuss at this point. Thank you. I'm assuming your property
Correct.
tax rate is the commercial
Yes.
rate? And that's a lot higher than residential. We've heard a lot of talk about property values. I have not seen any proof that property values are going to change one way or the other. I don't know that they'll go down. I don't know that they'll go up. But I have seen no proof that the property values will be affected at this point. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Trustee Lang.
Thank you. I'll start with, since you're standing here, you've gone over the hours for diesel, 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. You've gone over the hours for the car wash and the vacuums, 6 a.m., 9 p.m. Gaming, convenience, gas station, 24 hours. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Restaurant, inside restaurant, and then drive-through.
Yeah, so typically the coffee operator will be 4 a.m. to 4 p.m., depending on that operator. And then the second tenant that we're going to try to attract, and again, we haven't made a final decision on either tenant yet, would be probably 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., more of a lunch kind of dinner option.
And then lastly, liquor. It's a standalone store.
Correct.
And what are the hours for that?
We're going to adhere to the code, but it's from the planning and zoning, they said, I believe, 7 to 9.
Got it. And thank you for that. I just wanted, everyone's
course.
talking about across the board 24/7, and there are aspects to this business or to this entire set of businesses that have different hours.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Question for Mr. Clicker. So if you know this answer, how did this designation for the truck stop start with the state to begin with, the 3+ acres?
It was something that was obviously brought up through the state legislature and approved by the state legislature to be administered by the Illinois Gaming Board.
Okay, and was it to bypass local liquor and gaming regulations, or was it just to?
From my understanding, the reason it was approved was that it's very difficult for any municipality to consider a pour license at a gas station. And that is my understanding of why the Illinois Gaming Board has this exception in there, is that it would not require them to have a pour liquor license to operate the gaming.
And for clarification, that's what we require in Wheeling to have gaming is, okay. Very good. Also, Mr. Klicker, Old Buffalo Grove Road conditions, I know that's been discussed a little bit tonight. Is there any plan that you know of? And actually, Mr.
I'm going to actually let Mr. Cow handle this.
Yes, yeah, thank you. The county has approached the village to let us know that they do have in their capital plan for the next few years, Old Buffalo Grove Road on their docket. So we don't know what the timeline is, but it is something that they've discussed with us.
There were semi-trucks going into Garden Fresh or the Butera for years and years, and they seem to access that property fine. I would imagine that you're not making that many changes to make it more difficult for a semi to enter and exit, or your gasoline trucks that fill your tanks.
Correct, and as far as the semi component, a lot of our busier diesel sites, again, we're not pilot with 12 or 15 fueling positions. We'll have 4 or 5. We have 2 here. If we felt like we were going to do a lot more diesel volume, like close to 50,000 gallons plus a month, we would have tried to put in 4 diesel fueling positions. So, but to your point, we try to make it as convenient as possible for anyone to fuel up in those positions.
And I'm going to shift back to Mr. Klicker again one last time. So this property has been vacant for quite a while, and it's been an eyesore for years and years. There have been other uses looking at this property, as far as you know. Yes. And I would ask Mr. Becker this, but you've been here a little bit longer than that. So what has looked at this property, what uses, and what has walked away from it?
The other uses since I've been with the Village of Wheeling that have looked at this property have been multifamily. And every time we even get a concept plan submitted or a sketch plan for us to even begin to look at, shortly thereafter the developer will contact the village and say, we're not going forward, the financials don't work for us. It's just not a big enough site for them to get the density that they need for the profit margins that they look for on residential development.
Okay. And nothing to do with zoning changes or anything like that?
And no requests for zoning changes.
Okay, got it. Thank you. And then Chief Dunn, you answered the question about the 24-hour uses having pretty limited crime problems in this area, in the entire Wheeling area. What about the liquor stores or the gaming facilities? Those are big concerns that people have as well, especially gaming. What kind of problems, since we have a lot of gaming in Wheeling, what kind of problems are there currently with our gaming facilities, if any?
There are none. We have 25 gaming licenses in the Village of Wheeling. I believe 11 are in restaurants or bars, and 14 are in cafes, 14 gambling cafes, and they do not tax the law enforcement services at all. Rarely are we called there, and if we are called there, it's generally for an issue that is not related to the gambling, such as lock out of their car or reporting some other incident.
And would you say the same for standalone liquor stores?
No incidents whatsoever at liquor stores either.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had. A lot of my questions were answered, but I do want to say I want to apologize to our village manager, John Sfondulis, for someone in the group contacted his mother-in-law and said some pretty disparaging things that involved the family and John's children. And that was really uncalled for and very shameful that something like that had happened. No one up here is trying to harm anyone else, and especially going after someone's mother-in-law and their children is very sad. So I'm sorry that that is the collateral from this, John. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Lang. A couple of questions I have. Worst case scenario. So I've asked some people, what's the worst case scenario? And it was actually brought up this evening. What happens if you build this? Actually, I might be talking to Mr. Clicker. Worst case scenario, they build this thing and it fails and it closes. If the site is built as planned, how much green space will there be on it?
It's over 30%,
As opposed to what's there right now?
almost zero.
Okay. If the site is built and it fails, how much, and all of their safety equipment works, what kind of hazardous material can we expect to find in the ground if this is built and fails?
Zero.
Zero. Benzene gas recycling from the underground tank breathers. Who is that? Who can explain that? There you go, Mr. Christian, I believe. Now, I noticed that your tank vents come up through the canopy, and they're somehow surprisingly or somehow not, in about the same place that the old gas station used to be. So relative to the residential that is there, the vent is going to be about in the same spot as the old one used to be. But your new one is going to be up to what standards?
The new one will be to the latest and greatest standards. And what happened in the state of Illinois is, without getting too complicated, there was a thing called Stage 2. There was mentioned earlier by one of the commenters about Stage 1. That takes into account guarding the tank. Stage 2 actually took into account the fueling part from the dispenser, and it was about the vapors and that. And the cars themselves have gotten so good in terms of their catalytic equipment and such that Stage 2 was actually abandoned or actually made illegal, that everyone had to go through, if they had a station older than 2012, to take out Stage 2. So that vapor pressure is not there. Those vents do not pop. That's an emergency relief valve. And so what's the Illinois state monitors that. One of the questions mentioned is we have a tank monitoring system, and it shows how many gallons, shows everywhere where the fuel is, and that information is available. And so everyone sees that, and so you could see if a tank popped in that information as well. And we do not have any record of that.
You have to do a light study to mitigate the spill of light off of your site onto adjoining sites.
Mm-hmm.
How much light are you allowed to spill off of your site?
We have 1-foot candle at the property lines, and majority of around our site is less than 0.5.
What does that mean?
That means 1-foot candle is a candle in a box that's 1 foot square.
You have to speak closer to the mic.
1-foot candle is the amount of a candle burning in a 1 foot square box. So that's the intensity. It's not a bright light. And also the advantage of the latest technology is called light emitting diodes, or LED as we commonly know them. And those are very directive. I'm sure you remember 20 years or maybe a little bit more ago, the metal halide lights that hung below on canopies, and you could see them glaring out forever. All the lights are in the canopy, they're in the yard light fixture, and they're emitted straight down. They're very controllable, and that's what's so good about them, other than also the obvious energy savings.
So relative to the roughly 19 other street lights and parking lot lights that currently surround this site, what kind of light will you be putting out relative to the other technologies that are however old they are?
I mean, the foot candle may be equivalent, but it's going to be right at the site. So like I say, at our perimeters, the majority of ours are 0.5 or less, and we're required to be 1 foot candle.
Going to give everybody another chance. Trustee Papantos?
On your fence, this is a soundproofing, as like we'd see along the highways?
It's actually, I don't want to be derogatory, but it's better than the highways because it's not crumbling and falling apart. These are a sound-attuned fence made of a fiber material, and so it stays really well. It also flexes a little bit, and that's the problem with a rigid cement, impressed fence. You see that freeze-thaw thing cause it to pop, and you're seeing that all over the tollways. And this is a fiberglass fence that is designed to mitigate the sound.
Are there any studies that tell you how much sound you're mitigating?
Yes, we actually use a sound acoustic engineer. Ironically, his name is Thomas Thunder, and they know the state regs. The state mandates certain decibel levels at the property line at certain times, and also to meet the noise that's on the roadway. And so he helps us to design the sites to meet those requirements.
And where is the most sound coming from? Is it the vacuums? Is it the car wash?
It is, the vacuums are very minimal, quite frankly, but it is the dryers in the car wash that are on the exit end. That's the major noise source. And what we do is we have 2 bays. We have a wash bay that has a wall in it, and then a dryer bay, and we have the speed doors that come down, and then when the dryer is done, the speed door comes up. And so when you're standing right by that door, that's probably where you heard that recording. That is the loudest part. But by the time you get to the property line or to the residential units, we have to meet the decibel levels per the state of Illinois.
Thank you.
All right, Trustee Rufado.
Thank you. You answered my question about the sound, but so you indicated that most of the sound is a drying machine, which would then point south. Do you have ample enough screening there to also deaden that? And either screening or through plants and...
A couple of things, and that's what we do. We do with some berms, some planting, but also as Thomas is looking at Professor Thunder actually, is looking at this, he'll help us. Sometimes we'll bring out a fence. You see the curb, I'm sorry, I should be using the mouse here. See this curve right here? Mm-hmm. We're looking at putting a fence in there as well. And that helps control the sound coming out from there.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely like to see that. And then...
and that fence would actually, depending on the size, we may have to, we definitely want that to be at least 8 feet, if not a little bit higher.
Then to Trustee Vito and actually, President Horker talked about the business and what happens if this, goes under. If it does the special use expire on this property? Or if they sell it, like they mentioned that they sold one in Springfield, does the special use expire? Or somebody just can come in and, do they have to live by what would, I don't know if.
The special use does not expire, unless nothing happens there for a period of 6 months.
6 months.
Is the code, correct?
Okay, 6 months. Okay, all right.
That's why, for example, that's why Scooters was in front of you tonight. Right. They're doing exactly the same as Starbucks was doing, but the Starbucks has been closed for longer than 6 months.
Okay, all right. And we received a lot of notes from the residents, and thank you for all that information. But there were I don't know if they're true or not, but a couple of EPA violations that are still open at other gas and wash?
I believe the EPA violations, quote unquote, were for the remediation work that needs to be done at this very site that we talked about.
Oh, okay.
We have no EPA violations in the state.
So again, misleading information that would send somebody down a different path, like I just did. I guess that, again, my concern is the hours of the C-store, and I'm not sure if the board has an appetite to take that on, but I'll leave that. If we should do a poll or not, if a poll is necessary for that, to limit the hours of the C-store. I know I mentioned it, Trustee Vogel did, and Trustee Kruger mentioned it.
I'll take a poll. Trustee Rufato, I'm guessing you would be in favor of reviewing the C-store hours?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
I'd like us to explore it. I don't know what that means. I guess it's yes, but I don't want it to be a deal breaker.
I'm getting a concerned look from the attorney.
Well, I guess if you wanted to go forward tonight, the poll should be, should we amend the draft ordinance to add an additional condition that limits the hours of the C-store, gas station, and I think drive-through restaurant? I think that would be the question. To a time specific, right. Like,
Does that-
like it closes from, you'd come up with some hours to close it.
Would that be something that had to be into the PUD? I mean,
We'd add a condition to the ordinance, condition number 5, if that's the desire of a majority of the board.
so tell everybody what we're voting on again?
Oh, we're not voting, you're just taking a poll.
Tell everybody, there you go.
Should we vote to amend the draft ordinance to add limitations to the hours of the C-store, gas station, and drive-through restaurant? And you'd have to come up with I'm not sure what the board is thinking in turn, at least those that are in favor of limitations.
All right. So Trustee Rufato, I'm guessing that's your thought?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
No.
Trustee Lang?
No.
Trustee Vito?
Why do all three of them have to be limited together?
They're tying the operation of the convenience store to the operation of the gaming, and that would be their means of controlling it.
Yeah, but why are the other things affected, like the gas station itself?
I don't know.
Well, the gas station and the C-store are connected, right? One can't be open. You can't have the gas station open without the C-store, I don't think. Can you?
Well,
Aren't they in the same building?
They're in the same building. You're saying the gaming? Yeah, they're in the same building. Right. In theory, you could rope it off, but again, it seems like there's concerns about the business viability. I just asked that, we have every ability to use the same business model that's been successful and not diverge from that.
We can't do anything just to limit. Everyone's got the problem with the gaming. No one's got a problem with someone getting a gallon of milk at 2 in the morning. So there's nothing we can do to limit
If the business
gaming
is
hours.
open that contains the gaming would be open.
Yeah, I'll consider it.
I would have been a no, but that's 4 to consider it. Okay, Mr. Counselor, what do we do?
Well, what are the hours you want to consider? What are the closing hours you want to consider?
Trustee Rufato?
I would extend it to whatever the gaming is, right? I mean, that's the area that we're talking about, so it's 2 a.m.
I believe it would be 4 a.m. because someplace like Old Munich that has a 4 a.m. license, it would be 4 a.m.
So the gaming license runs concurrent to the liquor license. So as Trustee Papanto said, most of our licenses are 2 a.m. liquor licenses. However, taverns have a 4 a.m. liquor license, which means if a tavern has gaming in it, they're open till 4 a.m.
This isn't a tavern.
It's not
So
a
I would
pour.
say-
just-
yeah, I would say 2
He's
a.m.
saying the license.
And then I think we need what
Open-
time
open.
would you allow the gas station to open?
It's 4 a.m.
You got the car wash opening at 6.
The donut place opening at 4.
One of the operators, the coffee operator, will want to open at 4. If there's any way we could talk about if the desire is to close gaming, if we could focus on somehow, could we do just that for?
I've never seen that done that way. If you're open and you have a gaming license, the state requires the gaming be open. So we'd have to look into that further.
So we're talking about closing at 2, opening at 4.
I think that's what we're talking about.
Closing it to opening at 4. Is there a point?
No, closing at
Now
4,
there isn't.
opening at.
But can't they voluntarily restrict the gaming?
I've never
if you
seen that,
have-
Trustee Vito. We'd have to look into it further.
Yeah, but we've been
Don't
talking
know.
about Munich for some reason a lot. So say Bill wants to shut his machines down at whatever, midnight, and keep the bar open for whatever reason.
I'm not
He
sure
has
how
to
you
have those
police
open.
that.
Why would he do that?
I'm
No,
not
I
sure
know
how-
why, because he's begging for a license. That's why he would do that. I don't know why Bill wouldn't do that. I'm just saying, could he do that if he wanted to do that? I think he could.
You could put it in the ordinance, I suppose, but the state statute specifically says they're entitled to gaming if they meet the qualifications as a truck stop. And if they're open, state statute says they're entitled to gaming. We are diverging from the state statute in this exercise.
We have the
With a private agreement, correct?
It sounds,
I just don't know how being closed from 2 to 4 really benefits anyone in this scenario. Not
No.
everyone.
Trustee Kruger?
I was going to just ask for a motion to repoll the board. I'd like to change my vote.
we haven't really voted on anything.
No, so she wants to run the poll again.
I just wanted to do the poll again. I didn't know how to ask for that without blurting it out, which I've already done twice now.
Oh, you can go ahead and do that. You're going to be all polite now because we've got a lot of people? I'm not going to poll the board again, but if you change your vote, then we no longer need to consider this. I'm just going to say that unless somebody else wants to change their mind. Anybody else want to change your mind? Then we don't need to reconsider what we just wasted about 5-10 minutes on. Any other
Wait, you need
concern?
one more
What?
vote?
No, that would have been,
You didn't vote.
It's 4.
I voted yeah. Or not to, I voted we didn't need it. No, we're good.
Just changed hers.
Everybody can see you guys whispering.
Okay.
Nice.
Does anybody else have any questions relative to the issues at hand? We'll probably be doing this, we will definitely be doing this on a point-by-point ordinance vote. Does anybody else have any questions at this point? Looking to my right, looking to my left. If there are no other questions, then I need a motion to approve 13C, an ordinance granting special use for preliminary planned unit development approval for a gas station with a convenience store and drive-through restaurant for Lenny's Gas and Wash, Hintz Road and Old Buffalo Grove Road, and you know the docket numbers. 13C. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Trustee Lang, second. Trustee Kruger. Roll call, please.
Trustee Rufato?
No.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
No.
President Horker?
Yes. For consideration, item 13D, ordinance granting special use to permit the operation of a detached car wash for Lenny's Gas and Wash, Hintz Road and Old Buffalo Grove Road. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Trustee Papantos, second.
Second. Oh,
Trustee Kruger, roll call.
Trustee Kruger?
yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
No.
Trustee Rufato?
No.
President Horker?
Yes. For your consideration, ordinance 13E, an ordinance granting special use approval to permit the operation of a packaged liquor store, Lenny's Gas and Wash, Hintz Road and Old Buffalo Grove Road. Motion.
So move.
Trustee Lang, second.
Second.
Trustee Papantos, roll call.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
No.
Trustee Rufato?
No.
President Horker?
Yes. Item F, approving the preliminary plat of lots in lots 1 and 2 in Zales Subdivision for Lenny's Gas and Wash, Hintz Road and Old Buffalo Grove Road. Motion for approval.
So moved.
Trustee Kruger, second.
Second.
Trustee Vito, roll call.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
No.
Trustee Rufato?
No.
President Horker?
Yes. Good luck, guys. Official communications.
Okay, let me go back.
You go.
But that
Ma'am,
put it away.
ma'am,
We're
meeting's
still
not
in a
over.
meeting, ma'am.
We have work yet. The meeting
Yes.
is still going when we're done with our business. Well, please sit down. Please sit down. Thank you, ma'am. Please sit down.
We're still in a meeting.
Ma'am,
It's okay.
This meeting is still going
ma'am,
on.
we're still working. We still have work to do, ma'am.
But they did.
Feel free to have a seat. That means please sit down. Official communications.
There's a person behind the, I'd like to say something.
Sorry?
Official communications? I'd like to say something. Happy birthday to Luca, who did all of this stuff. Today's his birthday.
the wizard.
So,
We never see him, and yet we
yeah,
always
we never
see his
see
work.
him. He's the man behind the curtain. So, he deserves all of.
Happy birthday, Luca. We're not going to sing happy birthday.
Pat?
Trustee Vogel.
Just a quick announcement, on July 13th, Saturday, July 13th, Wheeling Helping Hands will be conducting their annual Bratfest fundraiser from 11 a.m. till 5 p.m. at the Wheeling Town Center. Activities will include live music, kids' games, kids' entertainment, other raffles, and of course, brats and beer. If you plan on attending, please bring a chair, a lawn chair with you, as there'll be limited seating. All the proceeds from the event benefit local Wheeling charities.
What time is that, July 13th?
11 a.m. till 5 p.m.
That is a long fest.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. We still have to pay the bills for June 13th till the 26th, 2024. Can I have a motion for their approval?
So moved.
Trustee Papantos, second.
Second.
Second. Trustee Rufato, roll call, please.
Trustee Lang,
Yes.
Trustee Vito,
Yes.
Trustee Papantos.
Yes.
Trustee Vogel,
Yes.
Trustee Rufato,
Yes.
Trustee Kruger,
Yes.
President Horker.
We have no executive session this evening. That means now all of our business is complete, but we do need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'm sorry.
Mary was going to bring up something.
Communication
Just
line?
before you adjourn.
I
Oh.
just wanted to thank all of staff for ordering the great weather on Saturday
It
and
was-
having a spectacular Rock and Run the Runway
That was
event.
outdoor. That was probably Culp, right?
I'm dying to find out how many people were actually there. I think I've got my money on about 7,500 on site, so.
Great event.
But it was really great, and all the work that was put in by you guys, Prospect Heights, Chicago Executive Airport, everyone should be commended for such a great thing, and the weather gods, of course, you know. But thank you, I just wanted to thank everybody.
Can we close?
Make a motion to adjourn.
You can close the
Trustee
meeting.
Rufato makes a motion to close.
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Kruger. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Excellent meeting, everyone.